Hello everyone, I'm very glad that you listened to my story. Please give me a follow and like the video if you enjoyed it. Feel free to comment and provide feedback so I can improve the sound quality. Yes, I will now continue the unfinished story. Chapter 17, How about this? The meridian test was simple. All they had to do was to place their palm on the altar and circulate some essential chi, and the altar would react to it. The altar would take the martial artist's rate of condensation for essential chi, the rate of condensation of the main acupuncture points, as well as the toughness of the meridians into account. It would predict one's potential, and the corresponding number of stars would light up. The stronger the potential was, the more stars would light up. 9 stars were the highest amount of stars one could get. However, there was a rainbow on top of it. The rainbow would only appear if a divine meridian was opened up. Alright, let the testing commence. The second branch elder announced. Then, the juniors approached. Most of them had 4 stars and 5 stars. It was only when Lu Chuan approached that the altar lit up with 7 stars. Potential worth 7 stars. It's quite admirable, he's eligible to join the mystical sword sect. Duan Muqing nodded. Not bad. With that talent, even if it was the mystical sword sect, he would be able to pass the strict tests and become a disciple of our sect, the Azure Dragon Hall's Tai Zhong said. The meridian test continued on. There were other appearances of 7 stars. There was even one who achieved 8 stars, which caused a commotion. When someone had reached the potential of 7 stars, it was not just a simple matter of opening up all 9 meridians. They had already opened up a few main acupuncture points for the first divine meridian. It did not take a long time, nor was it too difficult for many talented individuals to reach the peak of top novice realm. However, they would stay at the peak of top novice realm for a long time after reaching it in order to open up a divine meridian. Many people that were unable to completely open up a divine meridian, but yet able to open up a few main acupuncture points on a divine meridian, could feel their potential rise. For every main acupuncture point that was opened up, one's potential would rise. However, among the Lu family's juniors, there was none who could open up a complete divine meridian. Soon, Lu Yao and Lu Ming were the only ones left yet again. Lu Ming, open your eyes wide and observe the difference in potential between you and me. How wide will it be? Lu Yao dismissively glanced at Lu Ming and approached the altar. All eyes in the area were once again on Lu Yao. The blood meridian that Lu Yao awakened was a 5th level blood meridian. It was said that she had already opened up a divine meridian and closed herself in cultivation for 2 months. What level would she be in right now? Everyone looked forward to it. As for Lu Ming, he was merely a piece of trash with a strong will. Everyone had already dismissed him. Lu Yao outstretched her jade-like hands and placed them on the altar. The altar was injected with fiery red essential chi. The altar rumbled, and one by one, stars formed in the air. 1 star, 2 stars. Soon, there were 6 stars formed on top of the altar. However, it did not stop there. A 7th star immediately appeared, followed by the 8th star, the 9th star. When the 9 stars formed together, it became a rainbow and shot up into the sky. It was a rainbow. It represented a complete divine meridian. However, it did not end there. A second rainbow followed and shot up high into the air as well. At that instant, numerous dots of light radiated from Lu Yao's figure. They were the acupuncture points that she had opened up. 81 main acupuncture points lit up, then followed by the 82nd star, the 83rd star. In the end, a total of 99 stars were shining brightly. The 99 stars meant that Lu Yao had opened up 99 main acupuncture points, and 2 divine meridians. The surrounding spectators all stood and stared at Lu Yao in shock. This included the 7 core elders, as well as the envoys of the 4 halls from the mystical sword sect. Even Mulan had a stunned look in her eyes. Donned in a snow-white dress, Lu Yao stood in front of the altar. Her body was illuminated by the 99 stars, and there were 2 rainbows above the altar. It was as if an angel had descended to the mortal realm. She was otherworldly, elegant, and saintly. Lu Ming, who was close in proximity, seemed so tiny. Ha ha ha. The first branch elder could not hold in his laughter. A monster, truly a monster. With Lu Yao in the Lu family, they will be sure to prosper. None in Fiery Wind City will be able to compare to the Lu family's power. Indeed. Such a monster, it's no wonder that Duan Mu family's prodigy is engaged to Lu Yao. They say that Duan Mulin has also opened up 2 divine meridians. With the 2 of them working together, it's a perfect combination. Fiery Wind City will have another prosperous tale in the pages of its history that will be sung for centuries. It's no wonder that the 7 core elders would allow Lu Yao to succeed as the lord of the Lu family. It would be a pity not to let such a genius be the lord. If it were up to me, the lord's position would have been given to her a long time ago. Of course. They say that a person with 2 divine meridians opened up has the potential to reach King Realm. Will Fiery Wind City give birth to the next martial king in the future? On all 4 sides, small families and factions of Fiery Wind City started to discuss heatedly. Miss Lu Yao, if you were to join the Onyx Tortoise Hall, we would be willing to provide you with land-level martial arts and techniques for you to cultivate, and immediately promote you to a silver apprentice. The Onyx Tortoise Hall's Gao Shi stood up excitedly as he extended his invitation to gain her favor. Miss Lu Yao, if you join the Azure Dragon Hall, not only will we provide you with land-level martial arts and techniques as well as promote you as a silver apprentice, we will also specially hire a silver-robed elder as your master, who will specifically teach only you in cultivation. The Azure Dragon Hall's Tai Zhong did not lag behind and presented her with even more alluring conditions. What are you guys doing? Miss Lu Yao already has marital ties with the White Tiger Hall, she ought to join us instead. Furthermore, the attractions that the White Tiger provides are definitely more alluring than yours, Duan Muqing said loudly as he glared at Gao Shi and Tai Zhong. With a 5th level blood meridian and 2 divine meridians opened up, there was the hope of reaching King Realm in the future. Although it was merely a desire, it was already well worth a sex particular cultivation of such a talent. Naturally, they all wanted to recruit her into their respective halls. Miss Lu Yao. The Vermilion Bird Hall's Lu Qian was about to state her terms but was interrupted by Mulan. Give it a moment, we'll make a decision then. A vague smile hung on Mu Ian's face. Marshal and Mu. Lu Qian was slightly anxious. If she did not speak up and state her offers now, the chances of Lu Yao picking the Vermilion Bird Hall would be slim. She did not understand why Mulan stopped her, but Mulan was not a small influence. Since she had already spoken, Lu Qian had no choice but to look on anxiously. The surrounding crowd took in a huge breath as an envious expression formed on their faces. For 4 halls to fight over 1 person, and issuing such attractive rewards, such an honorable feat. If it were them, even if they were asleep, they would wake from laughter. At that moment, Lu Yao receded her essential qi. The 2 rainbows disappeared along with the dots of light on her body. She daintily walked towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming, can you see it now? The difference between us is like heaven and earth. We will never meet. Do you still have the guts to challenge me now? Lu Yao stepped off the stage after she finished her sentence. You just opened up 2 divine meridians, what's so amazing about that? Lu Ming sounded slightly disdainful as his voice rang out. What? Lu Yao suddenly turned around. Lu Ming walked towards the altar with big strides. Haha, Lu Ming, you were born with a weak and frail body, and your meridians were blocked. For you to take the meridian test, aren't you afraid of embarrassing yourself? Lu Chuan yelled tauntingly. Haha, Lu Chuan is right. Lu Ming, you should back down. It's enough that you participated in the first test, there's no need for you to join the next tests, or it won't be your own pride you're throwing, but rather the entire Lu families, the first branch elder bellowed from the main grandstand. Lu Yongxian, you're the first branch elder, yet you're repeatedly stopping a junior from taking the test. I think you're the one who's throwing the Lu family's pride away, Lu Ming instantly retorted. How dare you, Lu Ming? Speaking to me in this manner is an offense. The first branch elder scolded him angrily, enraged by Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming merely turned around without even glancing at him. Then, Lu Ming's hand pressed on the altar as he injected his essential qi into it. The air above the altar simmered as a star lit up. That piece of trash, Lu Ming, actually managed to condense essential qi? He actually managed to get a star to show up. Lu Chuan's eyes widened in shock. Lu Yao's eyes flashed in surprise as well. That guy could knock me out in one hit. I don't think it's going to be that simple. Lu Bing was standing beside Lu Chuan as he gazed on with a grave look in his eyes. At that moment, there was another flash above the altar. Another star had lit up. However, it was merely the beginning. The stars above the altar continuously lit up in quick succession. 2 of them, 3 of them, 8 of them, 9 of them. 9 stars swiftly appeared above the altar. How is this happening? Wasn't Lu Ming a piece of trash with blocked meridians? How could he actually cultivate essential qi? Goodness, he could really cultivate, and even achieved 9 stars. Getting 9 stars is already shocking. In the Lu family, nobody has the potential of 9 stars except for Lu Yao. Lu Yao squinted her eyes. An inconceivable expression formed on her face as she stood beneath the stage. She had definitely snatched Lu Ming's blood meridian from him. How could he be able to cultivate essential qi, to the point of having 9 stars worth of potential? She could not come up with a reason. You can't think of a reason, can you, Lu Yao? Speaking of which, it was all thanks to you, Lu Ming said to Lu Yao. You only have 9 stars. What does that amount to in front of an actual genius? Lu Yao scorned as she quickly calmed herself. Is that so? What about this? A smile hung on Lu Ming's face. Following a flash of qi from his hand, the altar was continuously injected with boundless essential qi. Chapter 18, A Prodigy is Born. The 9 stars above the altar linked together and a rainbow shot into the sky. A rainbow. Another rainbow had appeared. Every single person in the area stood up involuntarily. Ming-er. Ming-er. Amid the crowd, Li Ping and Qiu Yu held each other's hands tightly. They were shaking uncontrollably, with tears welling in their eyes. Prior to this, Li Ping knew that Lu Ming was able to cultivate essential qi, but she never expected that he would have such great potential. At that moment, she felt that all the hardships and strain she had been through over the years were not in vain. Everything was worth it? Impossible. This is impossible. The first branch elder screamed from the main grandstand. How could this be? Seated beside the first branch elder, Li Fu's eyes were about to pop out. This is already impossible? Then let us continue. Lu Ming smiled. Buzz. Buzz. The altar groaned twice. 2 rainbows shot into the sky consecutively. Dots of light lit up on Lu Ming's body simultaneously. 81 dots, 90 dots, 99 dots. In the end, there were 108 dots of light. Silence. It was dead silent. The crowd was silent, not even the sound of breathing could be heard. It was as if the people had forgotten how to breathe at that moment. Only the gentle wind carried the slightest bit of sound. Everyone was staring at Lu Ming dumbfoundedly. Their eyes were bursting, with their jaws wide enough to fit an egg. There were 3 rainbows, and all 108 main acupuncture points were opened up. That meant that Lu Ming had opened up 3 divine meridians. There was merely a difference of a single divine meridian between 2 and 3 divine meridians. However, the distance between the 2 stages was like heaven and earth. 3 divine meridians represented perfection. In every generation of the Blazing Sun Empire, there were not many people who could open 2 divine meridians, but there was always 1 or 2. However, the number of people who could open up 3 divine meridians was scarce. Sometimes, there would not be a single individual in a generation. At that moment, compared to Lu Ming's 3 divine meridians, Lu Yao's 2 divine meridians paled in comparison. One was perfect, while the other was not. It was incomparable. Yuntian, did you see that? Our Ming'er is finally accomplished. Tears flowed down Li Ping's face as she gazed at Lu Ming's unflinching figure. The sleeping lion has awakened from its slumber. A prodigy is born, Mulan murmured. On one side, Lu Qian widened her eyes. At that moment, she finally saw the light. She came to see why Mulan stopped her from inviting Lu Yao. It was because of this person, Lu Ming. The 7 core elders were shaking on the main grandstand as they stared at Lu Ming. The young master actually opened up 3 divine meridians. The gods have finally opened their eyes. One of the white-haired core elders even teared up. No, this is impossible. How could he open up 3 divine meridians without a blood meridian? The first branch elder bellowed, unable to accept the situation. It's impossible, Lu Ming, impossible. You're a piece of trash, how could this be possible? Lu Yao was unable to take it anymore. She screamed with a sharp voice. Lu Ming, can you see it now? The difference between us is like heaven and earth. We will never meet. Do you still have the guts to challenge me now? These were her words to Lu Ming just now, but it seemed like such a joke now. It was like 2 ruthless slaps across her face. Nothing is impossible, Lu Yao. Let me tell you that the talent and reliance that you speak of is nothing but a joke in my eyes. Lu Ming looked at Lu Yao. She was a woman he once loved, but he did not feel a shred of emotion toward her at that point. Lu Ming, what are you so proud of? You're merely a piece of trash that couldn't awaken a blood meridian. I don't know what kind of miracle happened to you to enable you to open 3 divine meridians, but it is a fact that can't be changed that you're unable to awaken a blood meridian. Ha ha ha. Lu Yao hysterically shrieked. Lu Yao, you look like a madwoman cursing on the streets right now. I'm officially challenging you to a match right now. If you lose, then you'll be exiled from the Lu family. The dots of light on Lu Ming's body were shining radiantly. His voice echoed across the field as his eyes glimmered with the cold intent of war. Lu Ming had shocked everyone in the tests of willpower and meridians. Now, he wanted to shock them even more with a challenge issued to Lu Yao. Lu Yao, do you dare to accept my challenge? Lu Ming's eyes sparkled as he stared at Lu Yao. Very well, Lu Ming, I shall fight with you. I want everyone to understand that you are merely lucky, that you managed to open up 3 meridians through some miraculous wonder. However, a martial artist's arts and techniques require talent and comprehension. I shall unmask your original form and let everyone be the witness of how you are still trash when faced against me. Lu Yao seemed to have calmed down and regained her confidence. So what if he had a strong will? So what if he opened up 3 divine meridians? In the end, a martial artist still relied on combat capabilities. She would thoroughly stomp on Lu Ming's dignity through her combat capabilities, knocking all the stuffing out of him. The crowd around them was deep in thought, their eyes sparkling brightly. This was also the reason why the mystical sword sex halls did not openly invite Lu Ming after his terrific display of talent in the 2 tests. First of all, Lu Ming was unable to awaken his blood meridian. Secondly, he could definitely forcefully open up his meridians, but it would not be able to solve everything. Hence, it was natural for them to prioritize Lu Yao. You blabber too much. Be careful that it doesn't come back to bite you, Lu Ming replied as he stared at Lu Yao. Lu Ming, cease your madness. There's no need for my sister to step up in dealing with you. I'll teach you a lesson. Lu Chuan took big strides on the platform and stood in front of Lu Ming. Lu Ming let out a sneer and said, "Great timing, Lu Chuan. Even if you didn't come out, I would look for you. Now that I can conveniently deal with you, it makes no difference." "Ha ha ha, Lu Ming, you're riding on a high horse right now, but let me tell you that the tournament is no game. There will be blood, so don't blame me if I accidentally cripple you, or even end your life." Lu Chuan smiled. As he finished his sentence, he shifted his gaze towards Lu Yunfan, as well as the main grandstand. "Chuaner, you are correct. The tournament is no child's play. Since it is a competition, there will naturally be unavoidable casualties. Do not show any mercy." An icy look flashed across the first branch elder's eyes as he bellowed. The 7 core elders glanced at each other and nodded. They did not object. At the sight of that, Lu Yunfan announced, "Very well, now that the second test has ended, it is time for the third round, the tournament. Fight to the best of your abilities, but do not throw your lives away." Lu Chuan smiled haughtily and stated, "Lu Ming, you can still change your mind if you're regretting it." Lu Ming smiled expressively. "Is that so?" he asked. "Lu Ming, how many moves coming from me do you think you can survive? 1. Or is it 2? Lu Chuan sneered. "1 move." Lu Ming's voice rang plainly. "Ha ha ha, at least you're self-conscious enough to know that you can only handle 1 move." Lu Chuan cackled. "No, what I meant was that I'll defeat you in a single move," Lu Ming said plainly. Defeating Lu Chuan in a single move. The crowd was in an uproar. They stared at Lu Ming as if he was a madman. 1 move. Lu Ming said that he would only use 1 move to defeat Lu Chuan. Was he insane? He had to understand that not only did Lu Chuan awaken a 2nd level blood meridian, he had also reached the cultivation of 3rd grade warrior realm. Even if Lu Ming opened up 3 divine meridians, he was no match for Lu Chuan, let alone defeating him in 1 move. "Defeat me in 1 move." Lu Ming's face darkened as his eyes gleamed with murderous intent. "My name isn't Lu Chuan if I don't cripple you today, Lu Ming," he said. Lu Chuan's aura exploded as dots of light illuminated his body. The unquestionable aura of the 3rd grade warrior realm was released. "Die, Lu Ming!" Lu Chuan roared. He made the first move as he struck his fist towards Lu Ming. An explosive gust of wind followed his fist. He wanted to cripple Lu Ming in a single move. This would make Lu Ming understand he was merely a piece of trash, and that fighting with him was so laughable and arrogant. Chapter 19, Are You Worthy? Just as Lu Bing approached Lu Ming took a step forward and the floorboard exploded. A formidable presence burst out from within Lu Ming. Boom! Lu Ming threw a punch at the same time, but it was faster than Lu Chuan's. It came later, but it reached its target first. It was as fast as lightning. Lu Ming's fist slammed into Lu Chuan's dantian, exerting tremendous force. Lu Bing flew back about 4 to 5 meters and crashed heavily on the floor. Blood from his mouth splattered everywhere. "Ah! Ah! My dantian, my cultivation! Lu Ming, you destroyed my cultivation!" Immediately, Lu Chuan let out a shrill scream of despair. Silence. There was pin-drop silence, all eyes were fixed at that moment. Lu Ming destroyed Lu Chuan's cultivation in 1 move. Unbelievable. First branch elder shot up from his seat. Dark, cold murderous intent erupted from him as he stared at Lu Ming with a ferocious face and roared, "Lu Ming, you imbecile spawn, what did you do? How dare you destroy Chuaner's cultivation? I'll turn you into dust." With that said, first branch elder leaped down from his seat and shot out like a bullet toward Lu Ming. "Lu Yunxian, what do you think you're doing?" On the platform, Lu Yunfan's glare turned cold as he thrust his palm out and struck a move against first branch elder. Lu Yunfan's body quivered from the impact as he took 5 steps back while first branch elder only took 3 steps. "Lu Yunfan, you dare stop me? The first branch elder roared with rage. Lu Yunxian, it's house meeting now, what do you think you're doing? Going against house rules. Lu Yunfan refused to budge. There was never harmony between first branch elder and second branch elder. The rivalry between the branches was not something that happened over the span of a day or two, so when he was given a chance to strike against first branch elder, Lu Yunfan would most definitely not let first branch elder have his way. Back down, Lu Yunxian. A core elder barked from his seat. First branch elder's face twisted with rage as he faced the core elders and stated, "Fellow elders, take a look. This brat, Lu Ming, struck so cruelly and he destroyed Chuaner cultivation. He must be severely punished." Severely punished? Lu Yunxian, are you for real? Lu Ming smiled coldly and said, Lu Chuan was the one who wanted to destroy my cultivation at first, am I not allowed to fight back? You're the one who said that casualties are inevitable in a duel. Are you kidding me? What did you say, you little b****? First branch elder was so mad his face twitched. What's with the UUUs? Hurry up and remove your trash of a son from the stage, Lu Ming reprimanded. What a savage! Such cockiness! Lu Ming actually had the audacity to reprimand first branch elder in front of so many. It was done so on purpose. He was counting on the core elders of the Elder Council to make sure first branch elder did not get his foolish ways since there were so many outsiders watching the Lu House meeting. Besides that, his current performance would have caught the eyes of the messengers from the mystical sword sect, so even if first branch elder wanted to do anything to him, he might not necessarily be allowed to. That was why Lu Ming acted recklessly and cared for nothing. First branch elder was so angry he nearly vomited blood, but in the end, he went off stage dejectedly with the ruined Lu Chuan. Little b****, when house meeting is over, I'll chop you into 10,000 pieces. You and your mother. First branch elder bellowed in his heart, the intent to kill gleamed unabashedly in his eyes. Lu Ming turned around and looked at Lu Yao. Now, it's your turn, Lu Ming said faintly. Lu Yao frowned, her eyes darkened, but she did not reply. Lu Ming's combat power exceeded her expectations. Suddenly she had a feeling that what was going to happen today would be out of her control. Lu Ming's and Lu Yao's eyes met and a massive war broke out immediately. All around the training field, all eyes were intently fixed on both of them. Lu Yao, with awakened level 5 blood meridian, unlocked 2 divine meridians at the young age of 15, and messengers from all 4 halls of the mystical sword sect came for her. She carried too many halos on her, and it was not wrong to say that she was the first of her kind in Fiery Wind City. On the other hand, Lu Ming, formerly deemed useless and the Lu family's trash, blew minds today. The test of willpower on the flaming stairs was a walk in the park for him. He unlocked 3 divine meridians, and it was safe to say that he was the first in Fiery Wind City history to have done so. Lu Ming also dropped jaws by defeating Lu Chuan in one move. These two were finally engaged in battle. Who would win? Everyone, including the 4 halls messengers and 7 core elders of the Lu Elder Council, watched them intently. First branch elder glowered watchfully at them, the intent to kill flashed constantly in his eyes. Swoosh! On the platform, Lu Yao struck first. As fast as a deer, Lu Yao dashed towards Lu Ming with a fiery red light on her jade-like hands. Her palms immediately pummeled towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming twisted his waist and threw a flame dragon fist. Powerful jets of wind were released as the fist and palm collided. Lu Ming and Lu Yao quivered upon impact and both took 3 steps backward. Their first moves carried the same impact. 4th grade novice realm. Looks like Lu Yao's been getting a lot of resources from the Duanmu family. Upon contact, Lu Ming got a read of Lu Yao's cultivation. Lu Yao's cultivation rose to 4th grade novice realm in a mere 2 months. Other than her gift of a 5th level blood meridian, the Duanmu family certainly did not skimp on the resources. At the same time, Lu Yao was horrified because she found out that Lu Ming's cultivation was at 3rd grade novice realm. In the short span of 2 months, Lu Ming rose from a trash with no ability to cultivate essential qi to 3rd grade novice realm. Unbelievable. No, I've gotta keep him under my thumb. Lu Yao cried in her heart. Clang. She unsheathed her sword, its sword light beamed like a dazzling rainbow towards Lu Ming as she attacked. Dazzling rainbow sword technique, Lu family's lower yellow level martial art technique. Lu Yao, you lack practice and cultivation, what a shame, Lu Ming said quietly. Lu Ming took a stride and avoided Lu Yao's sword light. He threw another punch. The punch whistled like the wind as it approached Lu Yao's face. Lu Yao had no choice but to defend herself. Lu Ming punched continuously, the flame dragon fist technique fully utilized. His essential qi was 2 times thicker than ordinary when he cultivated or condensed it, so when Lu Ming used the flame dragon fist, it was an indestructible force. In his first move before that, Lu Ming was only using 50% of his power. At this moment, 100%. For a moment, Lu Yao was forced to retreat. Is that all you've got, Lu Yao? I'm disappointed. Weren't you the one who said that you'll force me to show my true colors? Are you just saying it for fun? Give me the best you've got. You wanna be the head of the Lu family with such strength? Are you even worthy? Lu Ming scowled at Lu Yao as his voice rang out coldly. The whole place erupted. Lu Yao, the shining star, the chosen one, was at a total disadvantage. She was repeatedly forced to retreat by Lu Ming. If they did not see it with their own eyes, it would be hard for them to believe. Lu Yao bit her lip as her eyes grew colder and barked. Lu Ming, I'll show you what I'm truly capable of. A bright red light appeared behind Lu Yao. With a cry, a fiery red lark with 5 blood-red meridian focal points began to take form. It was the 5th level blood meridian. Immediately, the lark descended upon Lu Yao and fused with her. Lu Yao's power instantly increased at an alarming rate. The eruption of blood meridians was a way for a martial artist to increase their power. The higher level of the blood meridian, the more the increase in power. 5th level blood meridians meant a 50% increase in power. Zing! Quick as lightning, Lu Yao advanced towards Lu Ming with her sword aimed to kill. Let's see who wields a better sword technique then. Lu Ming smiled calmly as he drew the black onyx sword from his back. The black onyx sword transformed in streams of light as Lu Ming hacked it at Lu Yao. The lustrous sword technique. The swords collided. Lu Yao's sword's power was broken right away. Swish! Swish! Lu Yao was completely shrouded by Lu Ming's unending sword light. All Lu Yao could do was to counter them with all her might. It was total oppression. Even with a higher cultivation and erupted blood meridians, Lu Yao's strength was still oppressed by Lu Ming. With 3 unlocked divine meridians and the essential qi from the true war dragon technique, Lu Ming completely overpowered Lu Yao. It was 10 or more moves later. Lu Ming's sword light pierced through like lightning and went for Lu Yao's throat. Lu Yao paled, she could not dodge it at all. At that point in time, everyone else had their heart in their throats. Was Lu Yao, the shining star, going to die? Abruptly, Lu Ming stopped in his tracks, the cold tip of his sword resting on Lu Yao's throat. The coolness of the sword tip and Lu Ming's intense intent to kill caused Lu Yao's eyes to flash with fear. Lu Yao's mind went blank as she realized that she was defeated. Lu Yao lost. A complete win for Lu Ming, incredible. That was totally unexpected. We were deceived by the Lu family. I'll fight anyone who calls Lu Ming trash from now on. Chaos erupted everywhere. Chapter 20, The Truth is Out. The entire place erupted with disbelief. No one expected Lu Ming, the one Lu family openly labeled useless trash, to defeat the shiny star, Lu Yao, as if it was a piece of cake. Impossible. First branch elder bellowed in utter disbelief. He could not take it. He expected Lu Yao to simply just gain victory and take over the Lu family. Never would he have dreamt that the useless trash they robbed 2 months ago would have such strong capabilities to defeat Lu Yao effortlessly. How did that happen? Duan Muqing too found it hard to believe. Duan Muqing, as long as you're a genius, nothing is impossible. This Lu Ming had 3 divine meridians unlocked at such a young age, defeated Lu Yao, a 4th grade novice realm plus exploded blood meridians, with just a 3rd grade novice realm cultivation. He's most definitely a rare genius, Gao Shi commented. That's right, Lu Ming outdid Lu Yao in the test of willpower, meridians, and the duel. Since Lu Yao's betrothed to the White Tiger Hall, I won't fight with you for her. The Azure Dragon Hall will take in Lu Ming. Tai Zhong added with gleaming eyes. What are you talking about, Tai Zhong? What do you mean by Azure Dragon Hall taking in Lu Ming? Lu Ming is coming with me to Onyx Tortoise Hall. Gao Shi glowered at Tai Zhong, turned to Lu Ming, and offered, Lu Ming, we at Onyx Tortoise Hall sincerely welcome you with open arms. I promise, if you join us, we'll offer you 2 land-level martial arts techniques of your choice, and our upper management will personally take you in and train you as an apprentice. Lu Ming, we at Azure Dragon Hall welcome you too. If you join us, you'd not only just have access to our land-level martial arts techniques, you can also cultivate at our top-secret cultivation spots. Tai Zhong dropped a bombshell. The words of these 2 hall messengers spread across the field, which caused an uproar yet again. It was obvious that these 2 halls messengers valued Lu Ming. Even though it was said that Lu Ming could not awaken his blood meridian in the Lu family, it did not mean that he could not awaken it in Mystical Sword Sect. Mystical Sword Sect had been around for ages with numerous classified techniques, which included classified techniques to once again awaken one's meridians. Lu Ming possessed such talents even before his blood meridians were awakened. How crazily talented would he be once he awakened his blood meridians? Besides that, even though blood meridians were important to a martial artist, it was not the only important thing. There were blood meridian martial artists who made history for their remarkable achievements in the path of martial arts without awakened blood meridians. Even if Lu Ming genuinely failed to awaken his blood meridians, his future achievements would not be too bad too. Desire burned in the hearts of the messengers from Azure Dragon Hall and Onyx Tortoise Hall. Frustration flashed in Duan Muqing's eyes. It was unfortunate that the White Tiger Hall had no chance with Lu Ming at all since they were undoubtedly on Lu Yao's side. Instead of replying to the 2 hall messengers, Lu Ming looked at Lu Yao indifferently and said, Lu Yao, I used to think that you and Lu Yongxian were family, I trusted you. Little did I know, I'm nothing but a valuable piece of junk to you. Not only that, but you also wanted to be lord of the Lu family. You told me 2 months ago that everything hinged on capabilities in this world. You only get a say if you're strong, and the weak will always be trampled on. Now, I shall give these words back to you. You're a loser to me. You're not worthy enough to be my opponent. Lu Ming's clear voice rang across the place. Every word Lu Ming said was like a resounding slap to Lu Yao's face. Ha ha, Lu Ming, don't be cocky. Did you really think you could be somebody? I have the Duan Mu family backing me up, what do you have against me? I may have lost temporarily, but in a year, no, within half a year, I'll overtake you in every way and completely trample you under my feet. Lu Yao yelled hysterically, her face distorted with rage. Defeated, overtook, and looked down by someone she deemed as a useless piece of trash nearly sent her over the edge. Lu Ming, keep your sword away and get the F***ck off the battle stage. First branch elder yelled. Shut up, B***tch, and you, Lu Yongxian. Who gave you the right to speak? Lu Ming snarled at them with an overwhelming intent to kill. With a flick of his sword, he drew a bloody fine line on Lu Yao's neck. Lu Yao's face paled immediately. How dare you hurt her? Lu Yao is engaged to Duan Mulin, the genius of White Tiger Hall. Do you have a death wish? Duan Muqing yelled. Lu Ming did not spare him a glance and instead turned to the 7 core elders. Fellow elders, do you want to know why I can't awaken my blood meridian? Lu Ming asked. Why can't he awake his blood meridian? Many gawked. If one had failed to awaken their blood meridians, what else could it be? Was it not a personal problem? Was there something they did not know about? Speak, Lu Ming. Is there anything we should know? The oldest of the 7 core elders spoke. Lu Ming, don't talk nonsense. First branch elder exclaimed before Lu Ming said anything. Shut up, Lu Yongxian, the oldest of the core elders ordered. First branch elder stopped talking with a grimace. That's because this shining star and this first branch elder over here pretended to be nice to me, and fed me Yama pollen for 3 years. He fed my blood meridians with my own blood for 3 years, that's why I failed to awaken my blood meridians. Then, they robbed me of my blood meridians and combined it with Lu Yao's. Why did you think you could awaken a 5th level blood meridian, Lu Yao? What enabled you to do so? Lu Ming recounted calmly. Whatever Lu Ming said caused a huge uproar and everyone was shocked beyond words. Many knew that Lu Ming went through a meridians test and was said to have inherited his father's blood meridians, and it could be awakened. It somehow failed to be awakened later on and something was not quite right about it. The truth was out, and it had cleared up a lot of things. **stards, filthy animals, how could you do this to Ming-er? Li Ping was the first to react. She shrieked as she stared deadly at First Branch Elder and Lu Yao with her bloodshot eyes, her body trembled in fury. Tears flowed freely from Li Ping's eyes. She had no clue that the injuries on Lu Ming 2 months ago were a result of his blood meridians being stripped off him. How agonizing it must have been for Lu Ming to have his blood meridians forcefully taken from him. Is this for real? Storms were brewing in the eyes of all 7 core elders and their faces darkened. Lu Ming, you liar, you're a piece of useless junk, don't blame us, you imbecile, shameless fool. Fellow elders, Lu Ming's hopeless, his character is unsalvageable, I suggest having him kicked out of the Lu family. First branch elder bellowed, his eyes flickered maliciously. That's right, Lu Ming, do you think anyone would believe in your lies? Lu Yao added coldly. Haha, a test would immediately reveal if what I said about feeding blood meridians with my blood for 3 years is true. Lu Yao, do you have the guts to be tested? Lu Ming stared intently at Lu Yao. Lu Yao's face paled, and the first branch elder's face looked venomous. Chapter 21, Let's meet again in the mystical sword school. At that moment, the gaze of every single person was focused on the first branch elder and Lu Yao. Lu Ming was not wrong. It would be a simple task to test whether Lu Yao had really supplied Lu Ming's meridians with blood for 3 years, then stripped it away from him and fused it with her own blood meridians. Lu Ming, who do you think you are? Do you think we'll carry the test out just because you say so? The first branch elder quibbled grudgingly. The bystanders were not oblivious fools. Would anyone still be ignorant even after noticing the expressions on Lu Yao and the first branch elders' faces? What Lu Ming said was more or less the truth. At that instant, nearly everyone had a different expression in their eyes as they looked at Lu Yao and the first branch elder. To supply blood to a meridian and strip it off later was a taboo in the martial arts world, as it was considered completely shameless. Lu Yongxian. At that moment, the 7 core elders were looking at the first branch elder with disappointment in their eyes. The eldest core elder was particularly furious. Lu Yongxian, as the first branch elder, how dare you do something so shameless? How will you be able to face our ancestors? How can we convince the public if you are to continue to hold the position as the first branch elder? The Elder Council hereby announces that Lu Yongxian will be stripped of his position as the first branch elder today. The order to name Lu Yao as the lord of the Lu family will be rescinded as well. What? You want to revoke my position as the first branch elder? You'd actually strip me of my status for someone as insignificant as Lu Ming? You must remember that Lu Yao already has marital ties with the Duanmu family, the first branch elder bellowed as he mentioned the Duanmu family. Duanmu Qing had an unpleasant expression on his face as he looked at the 7 core elders. It'll be wise for you to think this through. Since Lu Yao has marital ties with the Duanmu family, allowing her to take over the Lu family is the greatest honor you could ever bestow upon your own family. Your family might prosper in the future if you do that, but what you're doing right now is nothing short of digging your own grave. Duanmu Qing's words caused a change in the expressions of the 7 core elders, as well as every other member of the Lu family. They could dismiss Lu Yao and the first branch elder, but they had to be mindful of the Duanmu family who was supporting Lu Yao. Since the Duanmu family was so mighty, obliterating the Lu family was as easy as flipping a coin for such a major family in the mystical sword sect. However, in this situation, if they allowed Lu Yao to succeed as the family lord, or even assist Lu Yao in dealing with Lu Ming, the Lu family would definitely be the butt of all jokes in the Fiery Wind City, or even every city miles away. How could they choose? Clap! 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 Mulan suddenly stood up as she applauded. How prestigious, Duanmu Qing! Do you think that you can represent the Duanmu family? Or perhaps that the Duanmu family can represent the mystical sword sect? Stop pretending to be something you aren't. I'll have you know that the Lu family is under my watch. I'd like to see what the Duanmu family is capable of. Mulan, are you sure you want to stick your nose into this? Duanmu Qing's expression changed. I sure am. Mulan shouted powerfully. Senior Duanmu. Before Duanmu Qing could reply, Lu Yao interrupted him. Senior Duanmu, I'm willing to join the White Tiger Hall. There's no use staying in a family like the Lu family, she said. Duanmu Qing's eyes sparkled as he smiled. Not bad. With a family like the Lu's which is as widespread as a single palm, there's no point in staying. With Miss Lu Yao's talent, you should be aiming for the entire Blazing Sun Empire or an even wider stage than that, he said. Lu Yao nodded and turned to look at Lu Ming whose voice was icy cold as she said, Lu Yao, if you have the ability to do so, you should kill me today. Otherwise, someday, I'll return the shame you've brought me today by tenfold. The shame that I brought you. Lu Ming started to chuckle. That's hilarious. Everything that happened is because of your own actions. Would today have happened if you hadn't stripped me of my blood meridians, he said. Lu Yao, I won't finish you off. I want you to witness for yourself what you said, that there's an insurmountable difference between you and me. As for Duanmu Lin, who you call a prodigy, there'll be a day when you'll watch with your own eyes as I stomp him into the dirt. Now, get lost. Lu Ming sheathed his blade after his confident and firm voice echoed across the entire field. Lu Ming, there's still a long time to go, wait for me. Father, you should come to the mystical sword sect with me along with brother. Lu Yao's cold voice rang out. Duanmu Qing had a frosty expression as he looked at Lu Ming with hostility. Just with you, Lu Ming? You can't even compare to a single finger of Duanmu Lin's. I hope that you don't join the mystical sword sect, or you'll understand how foolish and arrogant your words were today. Let's go. The flame tigers howled. Lu Yao, the first branch elder, and Lu Chuan followed Duanmu Qing and his posse as they mounted the flame tigers and left in humiliation without having even packed anything. With the departure of Lu Yao and the others, the events of the day finally ended. Although the youngsters from the Lu family had not started the tournament yet, nobody was really paying attention. Today's incident was full of twists and turns, and things had turned out completely different from everyone's expectations. Most of the people originally thought that the star of the day would be Lu Yao. They thought that as a genius, she would ascend as the lord of the Lu family with more than enough qualifications and bequeath tales of success. However, things took a completely different turn because of a single person, Lu Ming, who was the actual star of the day. All right, Lu Ming, you're domineering and confident. Why don't you come and join the Vermilion Bird Hall and wipe out the genius they call Duan Mulan in the future? Mulan suggested as she clapped her hands with unconcealed admiration on her face. She then added, however, I won't agree to any conditions you make. As a martial artist, you have to count on yourself to earn everything. Everyone was speechless. Nobody invited people like that. Would anyone even accept an invitation like that? However, Lu Ming's response made everyone's jaws drop even further. Hall Master Mu, I promise to join the Vermilion Bird Hall, he acquiesced with a nod. 3. The main reason that he promised Mulan was to thank her for the help. Moreover, he wanted to join a powerful sect to cultivate since there would be even more resources in a section. The mystical sword sect was where prodigies from around 2,000 cities in the east of the Blazing Sun Empire gathered. Only by racing against other geniuses to be on the very top of such a wide center stage would Lu Ming be able to advance even further on the path of martial arts. After all, hiding in a corner would never result in great achievements. Excellent. Mulan was ecstatic. Everyone else thought that Lu Ming did not possess a blood meridian, but she had already sensed the power of one within him earlier on. Would the Vermilion Bird Hall experience change if a prodigy like him joined the hall? Lu Ming, the only thing that I can assure you after you join the mystical sword sect is that the elders of the Duan Mu family won't dare to deal with you overtly. However, as for the younger generation of the Duan Mu family, you will have to rely on yourself. With a wave of her hand, a jade credential flew towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming, proceed to the Vermilion Bird Hall with this jade credential in 2 months. You'll be able to join the Vermilion Bird Hall immediately. There was a realistic vermilion bird etched in the jade plate. Thank you, Hall Master Mu. Lu Ming clasped his fists and kept the jade plate. It was enough. As long as the elders of the Duan Mu family did not make a move, it was enough. If he could not even go against the younger bunch of the Duan Mu family, what was the point of cultivating martial arts? Heh. I'll be waiting for you in the mystical sword sect, Lu Ming. Mulan smiled daintily as she rose from her seat and left the Lu family's training field. Lu Ming, we welcome you to join the mystical sword sect and we hope that you will be a powerhouse of your generation. Gao Shi and Tai Zhong rose in succession to congratulate Lu Ming. Thank you, my 2 seniors. I apologize for not choosing the Azure Dragon Hall and the Onyx Tortoise Hall today. Lu Ming saluted. Haha, it's fine. Gao Shi smiled. Lu Ming's attitude made them feel comfortable. The 2 of them had the same thought in their minds. Not only does Lu Ming have an exceptional latent ability, but he's also humble and upright. He'll definitely be successful in the future. See you in the mystical sword sect, Lu Ming. Lu Qian smiled. Gao Shi, Tai Zhong, and Lu Qian proceeded to leave the area with their respective groups as they were no longer in the mood to spectate the other youngsters of the Lu family. The Lus had lost their hype with the departure of the hall envoys, so the ending ceremony was conducted hastily as well. However, today's incident was fated to stir up the entire Fiery Wind City. Lu Ming's reputation would also cause an uproar in the Fiery Wind City. However, it would be the reputation of a prodigy. Chapter 22, Change Brought Upon by Power. The house meeting came to an end. The next day, Lu Ming, Li Ping, and Qiu Yu moved back into the Lord's residence once again. As he was standing in front of the residence gates, his mind was filled with thoughts. All of this was thanks to the change brought by the advancement of his power. If he was still the piece of trash whose blood meridians had been stripped from him, he would be unable to save his own life, let alone move back into the Lord's residence. Besides that, Li Ping and Qiu Yu would also be unable to live a smooth life. However, everything changed because of his sudden rise. Not only did he completely disrupt Lu Yongxiang and Lu Yao's plans, but he also snatched back the Lord's residence. Li Ping was also guaranteed a comfortable life from now on. As the descendant of the Lu family's main bloodline, Lu Ming could succeed as the Lord whenever he wanted as long as he felt like it. However, it was far from enough, as all this was merely the beginning. Lu Ming knew that there were greater challenges awaiting him in the mystical sword sect. He could not slow down for a single moment. Ming, let's go in. The room has been tidied up. Li Ping smiled as she walked out with the sword in hand. The elder council sent 4 young maids over specifically to serve Li Ping and Lu Ming, so the lord's residence was quickly cleared of Lu Yao and the others' possessions. Ming, now that you have a foothold in martial arts, you should use the spiritual weapon that your father sent back. Li Ping handed the sword in her hands over to Lu Ming. This sword, which had been taken by Lu Chuan, was once again back in their hands. Lu Ming nodded and took the sword as he walked into the residence together with Li Ping. After he returned to his room, he started cultivating. Having consumed the spirit soul pill a few days ago, his cultivation spiked from top of 1st grade warrior realm to beginner of 3rd grade warrior realm. After ascending 2 grades in one go, it was inevitable that his foundation would be unsteady, thus he needed to consolidate it. After cultivating the true war dragon technique for a few hours, Lu Ming entered the Supreme Shrine and started to cultivate his martial arts skills. 7 days passed in the blink of an eye. On the 8th day, Lu Ming was cultivating in the Supreme Shrine when he sensed a commotion outside, so he proceeded to exit the Supreme Shrine. He heard Qiu Yu's voice coming from outside his room the moment he went out. "Young master, Lu Bing is here to pay his respects." Lu Bing. Startled, Lu Ming opened his door and walked out. Qiu Yu nodded. "Young master, do you wish to see him?" "Sure I do. Why not?" Lu Ming smiled. When he reached the living room, he saw Lu Bing pacing anxiously. Lu Bing smiled the second he saw Lu Ming. "Master Ming, you've finally come." Lu Ming noticed the change in how Lu Bing addressed him. He smiled feebly as he sat on the main seat absent-mindedly. "Why have you come to me?" Lu Bing suddenly clasped his fist at Lu Ming. "Master Ming, I've come to apologize today. I was blind to your talent before and even offended you before. I hope that you'll be gracious enough not to hold a grudge." "Lu Bing, the 5th branch elder asked you to come, didn't he?" Lu Ming asked. "You're right. My father asked me to come, but it is aligned with my aim as well. Master Ming, there are 5,000 silver notes here which I hope you'll graciously accept." Lu Bing took out a stack of silver notes and handed it over to Lu Ming. "All right. Qiu Yu, help me accept it?" Lu Ming smiled. To be frank, he had never once thought about Lu Bing, but since he came to apologize with money in hand, why should he not accept it? Qiu Yu went up to take the silver notes, her small face flushed with excitement. She had never seen so many silver notes before. Although it pained Lu Bing, he forced a smile. "Thank you, Master Ming, I shall take my leave now." Just after Lu Bing had left, another maid walked up to report, "Young master, the lord of the Li family has come to pay his respects." "The lord of the Li family, Li Fu?" Lu Ming furrowed his brows. He had a terrible impression of Li Fu. "Have you notified your lady?" Lu Ming asked. "Yes, I have," the maid replied. At that moment, Li Ping walked over and said, "Ming, since your uncle has arrived, let's just meet him." Lu Ming nodded and ordered the maid to bring Li Fu in. "Haha, lil sister, Ming, I've come to visit." Li Fu guffawed the moment he came in. His face was plastered with such a wide smile that anyone unaware of the situation would assume that he had a close relationship with Lu Ming and his mother. "Big brother," Li Ping greeted him. However, an icy smile hung on Lu Ming's face as he sat absent-mindedly. "Lord Li, why have you come to the Lu residence today? It can't be because you wanted to meet this piece of trash, right?" Cough. Cough. Li Fu coughed as his elderly face turned red. He chuckled wryly and said, "Ming, you're such a genius. How could you be a piece of trash? If anyone says that the next time, I'll definitely break his leg." Ming I believed in those rumors because I'm muddled due to my old age. I hope you won't take it to heart. At that point, Lu Ming realized that yet another person had come to apologize. Lu Ming's outburst this time was definitely startling. Although he had offended the Duan Mu family, he had also gained the favor of Mulan from the Elixir Hall. It was hard to tell how successful he would be in the future. Furthermore, it was set in stone that Lu Ming was next in line as the family lord, so anyone who had offended him before, such as Lu Bing and Li Fu, would be in trouble. Therefore, they all stepped up to apologize and reconcile. It was now evidently clear that the strong ruled over the weak in the martial arts world. Rest assured, big brother. I definitely won't take it to heart, Li Ping said as a joyful smile lit up her face. That would be great, lil sister. I've prepared 10 qi condensation pills as a token of gratitude. Please accept it? Li Fu said as he produced a jade bottle. The qi condensation pills were inferior second-level pills. One pill was worth 2,000 silver taels, while 10 would amount to 20,000 silver taels. It seemed that Li Fu had gone to the bank for this one. It should be noted that 20,000 silver taels were equal to the Li family's income for half a year. Even the Lu family, the biggest family in the Fiery Wind City, had an annual income of approximately 200,000 silver taels. Thank you then. Lu Ming quickly accepted it. He had originally planned to ignore Li Fu, but Li Ping was from the Li family after all. Lu Ming could tell that she still cared about the Li family's attitude a lot and was obviously pleased when Li Fu came to apologize. That was why Lu Ming had to pretend for Li Ping's sake. There was no harm in accepting the 10 qi condensation pills. Li Fu finally relaxed after seeing Lu Ming accept the pills. Even though he was pained over the 20,000 silver taels, it was an investment. If Lu Ming really rose in power, the Li family would not have a hard time. If he had known that Lu Ming was so talented, he would have avoided offending him at all costs. After some short banter, Li Fu bade his farewell and left. Qiu Yu, how many meridians have you opened? Lu Ming quickly asked Qiu Yu after Li Fu left. Li Ping stared at her with a curious expression as well. Young master, madam, I just opened the 8th meridian yesterday. Qiu Yu answered cheerfully. What? Lu Ming and Li Ping were shocked to their core as they stared at her incredulously. The first few meridians were relatively easy, but it would get progressively harder. Qiu Yu had already opened 8 meridians after 10 or so days. What was important was that she was cultivating with the qi condensation art, which was a basic art. She had not consumed a single pill at all. This kind of talent was shocking. Can Qiu Yu open a divine meridian without the help of a blood meridian? Lu Ming could not help but wonder. Mother, Qiu Yu, don't tell anyone about this for now, Lu Ming told Li Ping and Qiu Yu, who both nodded. Chapter 23, Go Forth with the Dreams of a Young Man. The next day, Lu Ming went to the Lu family library and picked an inferior yellow-level martial arts technique for Qiu Yu. It was the Jade Cloud technique. Lu Ming was not petty enough to be reluctant to share the true War Dragon technique with Qiu Yu. Instead, it was because the technique was more suitable for males as it was extremely powerful, so it was not fitting for Qiu Yu to cultivate. If the technique was not suitable, it did not matter how superior it was because it would sometimes even do more bad than good. The Jade Cloud technique was gentle yet firm, so it was very compatible with Qiu Yu. Lu Ming also picked out the graceful light sword technique, which was an inferior yellow-level martial arts technique, for Qiu Yu. Now, nobody dared to utter a single word when he was picking a martial arts technique. After Lu Ming selected the martial arts techniques, he headed towards the Elixir Hall to purchase a batch of Dragon Tiger pills to help Qiu Yu's cultivation. While he was purchasing the Dragon Tiger pills, he learned that Mulan was no longer at the Elixir Hall. According to the staff from the Elixir Hall, Mulan had returned to the mystical sword sect. Mu Ian's position as the hall master of the Elixir Hall was merely a trial. Now that the trial was over, naturally, she returned to the mystical sword sect. After handing the martial arts techniques and pills to Qiuyu, Lu Ming returned to his room and entered the supreme shrine. He consumed a qi condensating pill and started to cultivate. Just like the other pills, after he swallowed the qi condensating pill, a strong force emanated from his spine and started to absorb the medicinal properties of the pill apart from refining the impurities of the pill. Lu Ming then converted the influx of pure energy into essential qi. The qi condensating pill was an inferior second-level pill, which was more potent than the dragon tiger pill. However, it paled in comparison to the spirit soul pill. Lu Ming's cultivation was advancing without pause. However, his essential qi was twice as dense as normal essential qi. If he wanted to improve it, he would require more energy, to be exact, around 3 times the amount of normal essential qi. It meant that if he wanted to improve his cultivation, he would need to spend 3 times the amount of energy of what a normal person required. There was no way around it. Being strong meant that he had to put in more effort. After all 10 qi condensating pills were refined, Lu Ming's cultivation advanced from beginner of 3rd grade warrior realm to beginner of 4th grade warrior realm. They were worth 20,000 silver taels, but Lu Ming had only advanced by a single grade. It was definitely a luxury, one that other people could not afford. Even an elite disciple of the Lu family could only redeem 2 qi condensating pills in a year. Lu Ming was not satisfied with this rate. After he finished the 10 qi condensating pills, he visited the elixir hall again and purchased 30 qi condensating pills in one go. He received a 10% discount, so the total was 54,000 silver taels. In one go, there were only around 15,000 taels left from 130,000 silvers that he had obtained from the Samophic pirates. Lu Ming continued with his cultivation after purchasing the pills. In the later stages of cultivation, a greater amount of energy was needed. After Lu Ming refined all 30 qi condensating pills, his cultivation advanced to a mere beginner of 6th grade warrior realm. Over a month had passed after he consolidated his foundation. There was only half a month left before the day when the mystical sword sect opened its doors for recruitment. Lu Ming had reaped many benefits over the course of that month and a half. Not only did his cultivation advance at a rapid pace, but his cultivation of martial arts techniques were also progressing swiftly. The Flame Dragon Fist and the Dragon Serpent Steps were cultivated to the 5th stage, which was the perfect divine-like usage stage. The superior yellow level sword technique, the lustrous sword technique, had been cultivated to the 4th stage, which was the mastery of technique stage. Lu Ming's power experienced a substantial rise compared to the house meeting a month and a half ago. However, Qiuyu was the most shocking. With just the Jade Cloud technique and the Tiger Dragon pills, Ku actually managed to open 3 divine meridians over the course of a month and a half. Lu Ming was able to open 3 divine meridians thanks to the help of the divine level martial arts technique, True War Dragon technique and the peculiar incomplete blood meridian. However, Qiuyu's blood meridians had yet to awaken. She was also cultivating an inferior yellow level martial arts technique at a terrifying pace. Despite that, Lu Ming and Li Ping were unquestionably happy for her. On that day, Lu Ming was prepared to make a move and set out for the mystical sword sect. "Mother, here's 10,000 silver notes. Keep it for future use." He produced a stack of silver notes in the courtyard and handed it over to Li Ping. "Ming-er, what are you doing? You'll be heading to the mystical sword sect where there'll be plenty of places where you need silver to cultivate. Why are you giving it to me? I'll be at the Lu residence where I'm short of nothing." Li Ping quickly pushed the silver notes back to Lu Ming. "Mother, I've encountered a miracle. I don't need any money. You should keep it and take the time to spend it in the future." Seeing how confident and firm Lu Ming was, Li Ping did not reject the notes and kept them away. While she gazed at his sharp gaze, Li Ping felt an incomparable sense of comfort and pride. Her son had finally achieved greatness. "Ming-er, allow Qiuyu to accompany you to the mystical sword sect this time." Li Ping smiled gently after a moment of pondering. On the side, Chiu Yu's expression shifted. Madam. Who will take care of you if I'm gone? Silly girl, don't I have Chun Tao and the 3 girls now? There's no need to worry that nobody will take care of me. Furthermore, you're gifted in martial arts. It would be a waste if you stayed with me, Li Ping said as she patted Chiu Yu on the head. Madam. Chiu Yu started to sniffle as tears welled up in her eyes. Lu Ming exclaimed in delight because it was true that Chiu Yu had a talent for martial arts, so staying with the Lu family was truly a waste of talent. Lu Ming shared the same thought of bringing Chiu Yu to the mystical sword sect to see if she could join the school. Perhaps, someone in the mystical sword sect could help her awaken her blood meridian. Alright, Ming-er, it isn't early anymore. You should start moving now. Li Ping reminded. Then, we'll take our leave now, mother. Please take care of yourself. Lu Ming felt reluctant to leave. Off you go. Be careful. Li Ping smiled. Madam, please take care of yourself. I'll come back to visit you, Chiu Yu said with teary eyes. Off you go. Li Ping nodded encouragingly. Lu Ming responded with a bob of his head. Without saying much, he turned and left along with Chiu Yu. Some things were best done instead of spoken. As she watched Lu Ming's disappearing figure, Li Ping's eyes started to redden. Ming-er, I believe that you'll truly be a strong person the next time I see you, just like your father, she murmured to herself. Lu Ming arrived at the Lu family stables with Chiu Yu. Chiu Yu had never learned how to ride a horse, so they just took a green-scaled horse and left the city. Outside the fiery wind city, Lu Ming flicked the reins in his hands. The green-scaled horse galloped like the raging wind, leaving a trail of dust behind. In a vast and boundless land, Chiu Yu was wrapped in Lu Ming's arms. As they galloped into the far distance, he sniffed the faint fragrance coming from her hair. A sudden surge of ambition and pride surged in his heart. To drink and lie upon a beauty's lap, and to travel the world with naught but a sword in hand, to return favors and grudges, and be accompanied by a loved one, these were the dreams of a young man. A young man's dreams would forever be distant. He would grip a bottle of unfiltered wine and write a song about lost love, living life to the fullest. He would be a hero that traveled the land with naught but a sword in hand, with his pride as strong as his blood, spreading through the lands. Since Lu Ming had acquired the supreme shrine in this life and risen from the ashes, he was not going to live a normal life. The fiery wind city was merely the start, and the mystical sword sect was not going to be the end. His life was fated to be filled with action. Chapter 24, Mystical Sword City, Wei Ziming. Just like its name, the green-scaled horse was covered in green scales. It had the blood meridian of a demonic beast and was undoubtedly strong, as it was able to travel 1,500 kilometers in a single day. More than 10 days later, the weary Lu Ming and Chiu Yu arrived at the mystical sword city, which was only 25 kilometers away from the mystical sword sect. It was the nearest city to the school and was unbelievably bustling with activity. Both its population and size were over 10 times larger than that of the fiery wind city. With merchant groups coming and going from various places in the blazing Sun Empire, it was a busy area. The main streets were wide enough to fit 10 beast carriages in a row, while the side of the streets was lined with shops. Indeed, it was a lively scene. It was Lu Ming's and Chiu Yu's first time in such a large city. They were scanning all around them with burning curiosity, like two villagers who had just entered the city. After strolling around for half a day, their stomachs started to rumble. The duo found themselves a restaurant and entered the building. The restaurant was 3 stories tall with an elegantly decorated interior. They proceeded to the 3rd floor, where almost half of the tables were already occupied. Everyone's eyes sparkled the moment Lu Ming and Chiu Yu arrived. Lu Ming had a slender build with distinct features. He donned a fitting garb that accentuated his heroic figure. On the other hand, Chiu Yu had a graceful body and a youthful face. They seemed like a perfect couple when walking together. 2 young men were seated at one of the tables. Out of the two, one of them wore a brocade garb with a jade belt hanging at his waist. He looked like he was around 18 years old, and he carried the air of a young prince. The other person was around the same age, but he was skinny and was dressed like a servant. The moment the youth in the brocade garb laid his eyes on Lu Ming and Qiu Yu, his eyes lit up. To be more precise, he was staring at Qiu Yu with shining eyes. However, his eyes flashed with murderous intent when his eyes shifted to Lu Ming. A fresh flower on a heap of sh*t, the young man murmured. Naturally, Lu Ming and Qiu Yu did not pay any attention to the gazes of the people around them. After they found themselves a table beside a window, they ordered a few dishes as well as a jar of wine and started to chow down. "Young master, the mystical sword city sure is crowded," said Qiu Yu as she looked at Lu Ming's misty eyes. Her cheeks were pink as she lifted her cup and took a sip from it. Lu Ming raised his drink and downed it too. "That's right. There are only 2 days left before the Mystical Sword Sect's annual recruitment day. Every young talent in almost 2,000 cities from the eastern side of the Blazing Sun City has come." At that moment, the young man in the brocade garb lifted his cup and approached them with the thin youth behind him. "Young lady, my name is Wei Ziming. May I have the honor of knowing your name? I hope that you'll grant me the privilege of drinking with me," he said, raising his cup. However, he did not bother to conceal his gleaming eyes that were scanning every inch of Qiu Yu's body while completely ignoring Yu Ming. Qiu Yu instantly felt slightly uncomfortable with the way Wei Ziming was staring at her. She felt a tinge of disgust as she said, "I'm sorry. I just drank a moment ago, so I don't feel like it now." Rejected by Qiu Yu right off the bat, Wei Ziming's face immediately darkened. "Wretched girl, what do you mean? My young lord asked you to drink with him because he thinks highly of you. Don't throw away the privilege that's been given to you," the thin youth beside Wei Ziming shouted before he snapped his head towards Lu Ming. "Why are you still sitting there, kid? You'd best scram now. My young master wants that seat." Lu Ming furrowed his brows. The two men were really on their high horses. He had not even uttered a word, yet they already wanted him gone. "Where did these yapping mutts come from?" Lu Ming said in an icy tone as he lifted his cup and took another sip. "How dare you speak to me like that, brat? You're courting death," the thin youth yelled with a nasty expression on his face. He lunged towards Lu Ming's throat with his fingers curled like an eagle's claw. His incomparably sharp fingers whistled through the air as he went for a killer move instantly. If he managed to grab Lu Ming's throat, it would definitely be crushed. He was overbearingly high-handed. Despite being merely a servant, he wanted someone dead just because of a single disagreement. "You're merely a second-grade warrior realm. Scram!" Lu Ming shouted with a simple lash of his palm. The palm advanced later than the claws, but it was the first move to connect. It landed squarely on the thin youth's face, and he yelped in pain as he was blasted away. Soon, he landed heavily on the floor. Startled, the other people in the restaurant started to whisper to themselves. "Who's this kid? He has the guts to hit Wei Ziming's henchman. How daring!" Wei Ziming is the eldest son of the Superior City, the Guardian Flame City's lord. This kid is done for. I bet that the kid doesn't even know where Wei Ziming comes from, or he wouldn't have dared to hit Wei Ziming's servant. After all, you have to check it before you wreck it. The discussion around Lu Ming drifted into his ears. He suddenly came to see the light. The duo was from the Guardian Flame City. It was no wonder that they were so arrogant. There were over 10,000 cities in the Blazing Sun Empire that had different levels based on their respective levels of power. The levels were mainly categorized as inferior, mediocre, and superior. The Fiery Wind City was considered as an inferior city, one which most people had probably never heard of. However, the Guardian Fire City was a superior city with massive power whose name was famous across all of the Blazing Sun Empire. "Ah! How dare you hit me, brat? You're dead, the thin youth started to yell in a frenzy. Wei Ziming's face turned another shade darker as his eyes glimmered with the cold intent of murder. "Brat, do you know I'm the young master of the main family in the Guardian Flame City?" he boasted as he glared at Lu Ming. "I just found out." Lu Ming calmly replied. "Oh? So, you just found out, but I suppose it's not too late. Now, kneel and apologize to me. After that, slap yourself 30 times, leave this lady behind, and scram. Then, I'll consider letting you off," Wei Ziming said confidently. He believed that Lu Ming would definitely agree to do this after learning who he was. However, he was stunned at the very next moment because Lu Ming merely glanced at him and said dully, "I thought your mutt was the only dumb one. Turns out you're even duller than he is. Get out of my sight this instant, or I'll send you flying too." Everyone else in the eatery was dead silent. Wei Ziming was a wild one, but who would have thought that Lu Ming was even worse? "Brat! You're courting death for challenging me." Furious, Wei Ziming stretched his palm out to slap Lu Ming's face. His palm contained an immense amount of essential qi, unquestionably bearing the cultivation of 5th grade warrior realm. However, Lu Ming caught him by the wrist even before his palm could connect. The sound of bones cracking could then be heard, followed by Wei Ziming letting out a blood-curdling scream in pain. "Ah! My hand! Release my hand, you good-for-nothing! I'll make sure you have a tombless death!" Wei Ziming howled in fury. Slap! At that second, Lu Ming slapped him square in the face, halting Wei Ziming mid-howl. Wei Ziming stared at him incredulously with wide eyes as though he had been slapped silly. He never expected that Lu Ming would actually dare to slap him. "I said, if you don't scram now, I'll send you flying too." Lu Ming's calm voice repeated, then. Slap! Another slap rang out, landing on the other side of Wei Ziming's face. By then, his face was bloated like a pig's. Lu Ming released a surge of essential qi and threw Wei Ziming towards the stairs. "Get lost or I'll break your limbs," he threatened. Chapter 25. Chapter 25, Assassination, Shadow Dragon Pavilion. Psst. The entire place started to ring with the sound of deep breaths being sucked in. Everyone on the third floor was staring at Lu Ming with shocked expressions. They guessed that Lu Ming had dared to send the thin youth flying because he did not know who Wei Ziming was. If he had known about Wei Ziming's identity, Lu Ming would never have dared to make a move. However, they never expected Lu Ming to take even harsher action after finding out who Wei Ziming was. He was simply domineering. "Brat! You've got guts? Tell me your name." Wei Ziming rose shakily. He was reining his temper in as he glared at Lu Ming resentfully. "I'm Lu Ming." Lu Ming smiled feebly as he calmly announced his name. He was not even afraid of the Duanmu family, so why should he be scared of the Wei family? "All right, we shall see." Wei Ziming hissed through gritted teeth. He then limped down the stairs with the thin youth. The way I see it, Wei Ziming will definitely never let it slide. He'll get his vengeance. That's for certain. The Guardian Fire City has always been run under tyranny. Given that Wei Ziming was disgraced in such a manner, there's no way they'll let it slide. Wei Ziyu, Wei Ziming's little brother, is a rare prodigy in the Wei family. He came to join the mystical sword sect's recruitment drive and is considered among the strongest 100 in this batch of newbies. He'll probably look into it now that his elder brother has taken such a humiliating beating. The restaurant was in heated discussion after Wei Ziming left. Meanwhile, Lu Ming merely smiled and continued to enjoy his meal with Qiu Yu. Outside the restaurant, a dark, resentful expression hung on Wei Ziming's face. "Young master, should we look for second young master and let him deal with that rascal?" the thin youth asked. "Of course, we have to tell my little brother, but there's no need to make a move now. The mystical sword sect recruitment drive will start in another 2 days. After the recruitment drive, the new disciples from all 4 halls of the school will go through a trial, Except for Kylan Hall. Little brother will kill Lu Ming then. I want him to experience the despair of dying right after joining the mystical sword sect. Wei Ziming said ruthlessly. After Lu Ming and Qiu Yu finished their meal, they spent a little while longer strolling the streets of the mystical sword city. They then found themselves an inn and booked 2 rooms. Lu Ming sat on his haunches after entering his room. He let out a joyful expression as he felt the faint itch emanating from his spine. After nearly 4 months, he could finally feel that his blood meridian was about to be completely grown. There was just one more step left. Lu Ming could feel that it would take around 3 days to half a month before the blood meridian would complete its growth. His blood meridian had already showcased miraculous effects before it could even finish growing. Lu Ming was excited to see what abilities it would have after completing its growth and what level it would be. After feeling it for a while, Lu Ming started to cultivate by reciting the true war dragon technique. Spiritual energy from all around started to gather towards him. Soon, night arrived. The inn was enveloped in a veil of silence. Shift. Lu Ming suddenly snapped his eyes wide open when he heard something breaking the silence outside his room. Although it was only a slight rustle, it did not escape Lu Ming's ears. There were 5 figures outside his room. 2 of them were outside the door while the other 3 were next to the window. Suddenly, the door and window opened simultaneously. The 5 figures darted in like a flash of lightning as the glint of 5 sharp black blades flickered towards Lu Ming with the intent to kill. Their movements were quick, concise, and ruthless. It was clearly the actions of trained assassins. Clink. Lu Ming took action the moment the 5 figures darted into the room. His figure flashed as the onyx blade sword turned into a trail of light and sliced through flesh in one go. Blood splashed everywhere as Lu Ming immediately sliced one of the assassin's throat. Clink. Clink. Another glint from the blade followed closely. Like thunder flashing in the dark, Lu Ming spun around and another 2 assassins fell by his hand. The 3 assassins instantly went down not because they were weak. In fact, they were far from weak. The trio that Lu Ming had slain had reached 6th grade warrior realm whereas the remaining 2 had cultivated up to 7th grade warrior realm. With an ambush by such a lineup, even an ace on 8th grade warrior realm would be slain. Lu Ming was alive simply because he was even stronger and had already noticed them. Dang it! The intel about the target's power was inaccurate. Retreat. One of the assassins yelped in surprise and frantically backed away. Since you've already come, you might as well stay. The moment Lu Ming finished his sentence in an icy tone, he used the dragon serpent steps. After he appeared behind the assassin in a single step, he lashed out with his blade and a dismembered head landed on the floor. He then took a few more steps and caught up with the next person. After he realized that he could not escape, the remaining assassin yelled as he plunged towards Lu Ming without a care for his own life, "Die!" The flame dragon fist erupted and 2 consecutive hits landed on the assassin's body. Blasted back by the blows, the assassin crashed into the wall and spurted out a mouthful of blood. Speak. Who are you? Who sent you here? Lu Ming demanded in an icy tone. He, so what if I told you? We're from the Shadow Wolf Pavilion. Someone paid to end your life, but as for who it is, you'll never find out. Be prepared for the Shadow Wolf Pavilion's relentless hunt, Lu Ming. After the assassin said that, black blood spewed from his mouth. He had actually committed suicide by poison. The Shadow Wolf Pavilion. Lu Ming furrowed his brows. He had heard of the Shadow Wolf Pavilion before. It was one of the 4 largest assassin groups in the Blazing Sun Empire. They had a large circle of influence and specifically dealt in paid assassinations. However, they were extremely secretive as nobody knew where the headquarters of the Shadow Wolf Pavilion was. Hence, the 4 assassin groups were loathed by many, but there was no way to remove them by the roots. Some even said that these 4 assassin groups were backed and cultivated by the 5 main sects as tools to deal with the rising prodigies. Still, it was nothing but a rumor since nobody knew what the truth was. Who would hire assassins from the Shadow Wolf Pavilion to bring me down? Lu Ming furrowed his brows. The first thing that came to his mind was Lu Yao, Lu Yongxian, and the Duanmu family. These people were the most susceptible bunch as well as Wei Ziming. However, the odds of it being Wei Ziming were not high since he already had a gist of how powerful Lu Ming was. The assassin just now had exclaimed that Lu Ming's strength did not add up to the intel they received. If that was the case, it was most likely Lu Yao, Lu Yongxian, and the Duanmu family. It seems like there are shadows on the prowl in the mystical sword sect. Lu Ming sneered as his eyes flashed with killing intent. Young master, are you all right? Qiu Yu walked out of her room and was shocked when she saw the bodies lying on the ground. The commotion just now had startled the other guests staying at the inn. Qiu Yu, let's go. We're changing inns. Lu Ming grabbed Qiu Yu as he jumped out of the window and sprinted forward. The duo traversed in the dark and stopped at a different inn after half an hour. In the next 2 days, neither of them took a step out of their rooms. Except for food, they spent their time cultivating behind closed doors. 2 days soon passed in the blink of an eye. The Mystical Sword Sect's annual recruitment drive officially started. Chapter 26, Vermilion Bird Hall. The Mystical Sword Sect was divided into 5 halls, and each hall occupied a majestic mountain. The Kylan Peak was in the middle, the Azure Dragon Peak was on the east, the White Tiger Peak on the west, the Vermilion Bird Peak on the south, and the Onyx Tortoise Peak on the north. The new apprentice enrollment test was held at the mountain before the 5 halls, and that was the main gate of the Mystical Sword Sect. When Lu Ming and Qiu Yu arrived at the gate, the entire area was filled with people hustling and bustling about. There were about tens of thousands of generally young people below their 20s. At the foot of the mountain, 2 broad pathways led towards the center of the Mystical Sword Sect. Those with jade credentials, head towards your right. Those without jade credentials, head towards your left for the enrollment tests, a dashing young man yelled with a sword on his back. Lu Ming was told that those with jade credentials were exempted from the enrollment tests and were allowed to join the Mystical Sword Sect right away. Possessing a 1 in a million jade credential signified that the person had already been tested and was deemed exceptional by an expert from the Mystical Sword Sect. Lu Ming had received the jade credential from Mulan, so he was naturally exempted from the enrollment tests. Qiu Yu, go ahead and take the tests. Lu Ming said to Qiu Yu. Oh, all right, young lord. She nodded. You can do it? He smiled encouragingly at her. The enrollment tests included many sections like a willpower test, meridians check, meridians testing, and many more. There were professional meridian inspectors there to evaluate the blood meridian levels, so it did not matter if one's blood meridians were not awakened yet. This was a good chance for Qiu Yu to find out what kind of blood meridians she had, so she nodded vigorously and made a beeline toward the left. There was a long line of people on the left mountain path. Meanwhile, Lu Ming waited outside patiently for Qiu Yu's results. Sigh, why such high standards? I don't think I'll stand a chance to be accepted into the Mystical Sword Sect. Time after time, Lu Ming saw people walk out dejectedly. Some were even sobbing. Those were the people who had obviously failed the enrollment test. Slowly, Qiu Yu disappeared into the mountains as the queue progressed. All of a sudden, 3 rainbows shot up from deep within the left side of the mountain. The rainbows pierced through the clouds and rose above the heavens, shining as brightly as the sun. 3 rainbows signified 3 unlocked divine meridians. Is that Qiu Yu? Lu Ming's eyes gleamed. At the sight of the 3 rainbows, chaos erupted at the main gate of the Mystical Sword Sect. 3 rainbows. This means that someone has unlocked 3 divine meridians. There's actually such a genius in this generation. I've only unlocked 6 acupuncture points from the first divine meridian after stalling at the peak of top novice realm for 2 years. It's impossible to compare one human to another. If that person's willing, he or she could totally enter Kylan Hall. All eyes were fixated at the direction of the rainbows as chatter broke out. Squawk! A gigantic white crane flew out from deep within the mystical sword sect and headed towards the rainbows. A master from the mystical sword sect has appeared. This genius should be heading towards the skies soon, some people exclaimed with envy in their eyes. It looks like Qiu Yu's been accepted into mystical sword sect without a doubt. Lu Ming smiled as he made his way to the mountain path on the right. There were also mystical sword sect's apprentices on guard at the entrance on the right mountain path. Since there were only very few people, Lu Ming entered with ease after flashing his jade credentials. It was a steep incline up, though not for long. Soon, there were rainbows on the left side of the mountain once again. This time, there were 2 rainbows. Right after that, there were another 2 rainbows. It looks like a gathering of geniuses in this batch of new enrollments. Even Lu Ming was shocked to see 2 consecutive geniuses with 2 unlocked divine meridians. Not forgetting those with jade credentials that were exempted from the tests, like him. How many geniuses in this group of people? It was a genius galore. How interesting. Fighting spirit flashed before Lu Ming's eyes. He continued on his journey to the end of the mountain path, and there it was before him, a vast plaza. At that moment, there were thousands of people on that plaza. The plaza led to 4 different pathways, and along each pathway was a 10-meter slab of stone in height with one of the 4 great beasts, azure dragon, white tiger, vermilion bird, and onyx tortoise, carved on them. The only pathway missing was the one that led to Kylin Hall. Onyx Tortoise Hall, this way to the Onyx Tortoise Hall. Join us, dear juniors, we guarantee loads of benefits. A few youths hollered at the top of their lungs at Onyx Tortoise Hall's entrance. White Tiger Hall, joining us at the White Tiger Hall will be the best choice you'll ever make. We're the strongest hall, secondary only to the Kylin Hall. Come, join the Azure Dragon Hall. We're the oldest of them all. Vermilion Bird Hall. We have many beautiful girls here at the Vermilion Bird Hall. One after another, voices rang out as the 4 halls tried their best to attract newcomers. Newcomers represented new blood, and they spoke for the future of the hall, so it was extremely vital, especially given the fierce competition between the 4 halls. Newly enrolled apprentices were given free will to enter into any of the 4 halls. People with jade credentials like Lu Ming were the exception. They belonged to the hall that had issued them their jade pieces. Only Kylin Hall operated differently. Kylin Hall was extremely mysterious and was the most powerful hall among the 5. Kylin Hall apprentices were carefully handpicked and they were all the cream of the crop. No one knew how many new apprentices Kylin Hall would accept in a year. Furthermore, it was only normal for it to have the least amount of people. Suddenly, something captured Lu Ming's attention from the corner of his eye. Near the entrance of the White Tiger Hall, dressed in a white dress, Lu Yao was the center of attention. That's Lu Yao. I heard she's awakened a 5th-level blood meridian with 2 unlocked divine meridians. She's also engaged to Duan Mu family's super genius, Duan Mu Lin. What a Cinderella story. I know. I'm so jealous. If it were me, I'd wake up smiling every day. You? Why would Duan Mu Lin ever consider you? A few young women whispered enviously near Lu Ming. Lu Yao's gaze swept across the area even as she charmed the crowd around her. When her gaze landed on Lu Ming, her face darkened as anger flashed in her eyes. Then, she looked at the crowd surrounding her and glanced back at Lu Ming with disdain in her eyes. Lu Ming merely smiled. Suddenly, a bird song erupted from above them, and right after that, an enormous white crane descended. It was far bigger than a normal white crane. When extended, the length of its wings was a terrifying 20 meters. There were 2 people on the white crane. One of them was a middle-aged lady with a golden threaded robe while the other was a beautiful young maiden. Qiu Yu. Lu Ming's heart was filled with glee upon seeing the young maiden. Gold-robed elder. That's a gold-robed elder. It's really a gold-robed elder. Who's that young lady? How did she manage to catch the gold-robed elder's attention? She's a super genius, I reckon. Who are they here for? The young people around clamored in reverence toward the middle-aged lady. Chapter 27, Making Things Hard on Purpose. Elders were divided into ordinary elders, silver-robed elders, and gold-robed elders in the mystical sword sect. Silver-robed elders were the upper management of the mystical sword sect. They were the strong backbone that held the school together. Gold-robed elders were the mystical sword sect's doyens. They existed as the anchors against the other sects. There were only a few of them, and since they were so powerful, they would make an appearance if something important caught their attention. Otherwise, they would be in closed-door meditation and practice of the martial arts. Standing right in front of everyone's eyes was a gold-robed elder. Everyone at the plaza had their eyes on the two people on the white crane. Who were they here for? On the white crane, Qiu searched the crowd with her eyes, and her gaze finally found Lu Ming. Young lord. She beamed in delight as the white crane descended near Lu Ming. Then, she leaped off it excitedly and ran to his side. All eyes were on Lu Ming at that instant. Not too far away, Lu Yao clearly recognized Qiu and her face darkened. Why would that filthy maidservant be with a gold-robed elder? Lu Yao's eyes flashed with annoyance and confusion. Qiu. A smile appeared on Lu Ming's face as he asked, Qiu, did you pass the assessment test? I did. This senior here wants me to join her in Kylin Hall, but I don't wanna be at Kylin Hall. I wanna be with you in the Vermilion Bird Hall, young lord. Qiu chirped. Qiu's actually been invited to join Kylin Hall. Lu Ming's heart leaped with joy, but he hardened his features on purpose and said, silly girl, some people can't even join Kylin Hall even if they wanted to, and you're just gonna turn it down? Listen to your young lord and go to Kylin Hall. But young lord, I hate to part with you. Qiu sniffed while her eyes grew teary. Silly girl, we're both at the mystical sword sect. It's not like we won't be able to see each other ever again. Besides, if you train hard enough in Kylin Hall, there'll be chances for us to meet. Also, Qiu, what's up with your blood meridians? Did they manage to test it? Lu Ming asked as he comforted her. They did, but the senior said that I might have unique blood meridians and told me not to tell anyone else. But, young lord, you aren't just anybody else, Qiu whispered into Lu Ming's ears as she leaned toward him. Unique blood meridians. Her revelation shocked Lu Ming to the core, but he felt intense joy for Qiu right after the initial shock. Human blood meridians were divided into several kinds, although most of the blood meridians took the form of a living being, be it beasts or plants. Humans had been in cohabitation with all the other beings since the beginning of time, so it was only natural for the blood meridians humans awakened to carry these other beings' forms, since human blood was influenced by genetic traits of these other beings. However, some people would awaken blood meridians with peculiar forms, such as a sword-shaped blood meridian, a knife-shaped blood meridian, and many more blood meridians shaped like weapons. There were also some others with element-influenced blood meridians like wind, fire, thunder, water, and many more. These were known as the unique blood meridians. Unique blood meridians were extremely rare, and also very, marvelously, unimaginably powerful. For example, those with sword-shaped blood meridians had an innate affinity towards sword-related martial arts and were able to grasp sword-related martial arts teachings a few times faster than ordinary people. Some even inherited an extremely powerful sword art technique through their sword-shaped blood meridians and were unbeatable. All in all, those with unique blood meridians were usually phenomenal geniuses. It all made sense now. No wonder Qiu's blood meridians were so difficult to awaken. She possessed unique blood meridians. Qiu, don't tell anyone else about it from now onwards. Train hard and study well in Kylin Hall, okay? Lu Ming advised as he gently patted her head. Young lord. Qiu's eyes watered. Go on, train well. I'm gonna spot check you in the future. Lu Ming chuckled. Got it, young lord, don't worry. I'll work hard. Qiu Yu answered, nodding firmly. Let's go, Qiu Yu. The middle-aged lady on the white crane waved. A gush of formless energy flowed out, suspending Qiu Yu's body mid-air, then gently landing her on the white crane. The white crane let out a shriek as it ascended, disappearing in the skyline. I should head to Vermilion Bird Hall now. Lu Ming smiled as he made his way to Vermilion Bird Hall. His good mood was apparent after learning that Qiu Yu had been enrolled in Kylin Hall. Welcome to Vermilion Bird Hall, Junior. Please register your details right here. Upon seeing Lu Ming, the young men at Vermilion Bird Hall exclaimed in delight. Lu Ming nodded and wrote down his name, age, and place of origin. Then, he walked down the pathway that led in. After climbing several hills, a majestic mountain came into his sight. It was the Vermilion Bird Peak. At the foot of the Vermilion Bird Peak, there was a spacious training field, and all the new Vermilion Bird Hall apprentices had gathered there to wait for instructions. Stop where you are. No illegal entry permitted, a young man obstructed Lu Ming just as he was about to enter the training field. This haughty young man was about 20 years old. He wore a blue robe and was clearly an older apprentice. Senior, I'm one of the new apprentices, Lu Ming cupped his hands respectfully as he answered. The blue-robed young man scoffed as he barked, How dare you lie to me? The impersonation of a mystical sword apprentice is a grave sin. Lu Ming frowned. This man is behaving weirdly. Why would he assume that Lu Ming was an impersonator without any prior encounters? If Lu Ming really was an impersonator, how could he have made it thus far? This blue-robed young man was making things difficult on purpose, but this was the first time Lu Ming was meeting him, so what did he have against Lu Ming? I'm really a Vermilion Bird Hall apprentice. Here's my jade credential. Lu Ming said as he revealed his jade piece. Without taking a look at the jade piece, the blue-robed apprentice sneered, So what if you have a jade credential? Does that prove that you're not an impersonator? One of the prerequisites to be a mystical sword sect apprentice is to be a blood meridian martial artist. Are you even one? Do you even have blood meridians? If you don't have blood meridians, I don't care who recommended you. Piss off. After he was done explaining, the blue-robed apprentice jeered at Lu Ming. The Duanmu family sent you, didn't they? Lu Ming asked out of the blue as something flashed in his eyes. With a slight change in his expression, the blue-robed apprentice snarled. What are you talking about? F***ck off immediately. Lu Ming sneered. This blue-robed apprentice had some relationship with the Duanmu family. He was sure of it. Only Lu Yao, Lu Yongxian, and the likes of them knew that Lu Ming's blood meridians had been stripped away from him. This blue-robed apprentice must have known about Lu Ming since he was so sure that he did not have blood meridians and stopped him in his tracks upon the mere sight of him. The new apprentices on the training field were roused as they gathered around Lu Ming curiously. You want me to piss off? You're the one that should piss off. Lu Ming smiled coldly. How dare you speak to me like that? I think you're tired of living, aren't you? The blue-robed apprentice spat venomously. Lu Ming said with a faint smile, Don't you think so? Is this how you, as an older apprentice, should be treating the new apprentices? You accuse them without proof and shoo them away? Who gave you such authority? If everyone in the Vermilion Bird Hall is like you, I'd rather not stay then. Every word Lu Ming said rang out clearly. In response, the new apprentices on the training field started to gesture and look pointedly at the blue-robed apprentice. The blue-robed apprentice's face darkened further with a tinge of anxiety. He certainly had not been authorized as such. If the elders were to know that he chased new apprentices away, he would not be able to bear the consequences. Lu Ming, I've asked you to piss off because you're the one without blood meridians. Don't spew your bullshit *t all around to accuse me, the blue-robed apprentice yelled defiantly. Spewing bullshit *t to accuse you? Look carefully with your beady eyes, Dog. Lu Ming let out a cry, and immediately, red lights flashed from behind his back as he made his blood meridians explode. A glimpse of a worm-like silhouette flashed before the red light disappeared. Chapter 28, Newbie's Test. Blood Meridians. How do you have blood meridians? The blue-robed apprentice cried out in disbelief. According to the news he had gotten, Lu Ming had no blood meridians. Of course, I have blood meridians. How else would I have passed the tests by the Vermilion Bird Hall seniors and get a recommendation? This is something even a pig would understand, but you've made things difficult for me on purpose. Tell me, what's your intention? Are you intentionally oppressing the new apprentices, or are you dumber than a pig? Lu Ming articulated each word with such clarity while his gaze bore into the blue-robed apprentice like a drill. The new apprentices around Lu Ming glowered gingerly at the blue-robed apprentice after hearing what Lu Ming said. These two questions were impossible to answer. The blue-robed apprentice raged. If he admitted that he made things difficult for Lu Ming on purpose, it meant that he was also oppressing the new apprentices on purpose. Then, if the Vermilion Bird Hall saw a drastic dip in the number of new apprentices because of what had happened, he would be in huge trouble. However, if he did not admit it, he would be deemed dumber than a pig. Lu Ming, you. Flushed, the blue-robed apprentice was at a loss for words. *CK off, you're in the way. Lu Ming reprimanded. The blue-robed apprentice gritted his teeth as he glared at Lu Ming. Just you wait, Lu Ming. I, Ningfang, won't be so easily fooled. He stormed away after he was done. Lu Ming snickered and entered the training field. There were about 200 people on the wide and spacious training field. Lu Ming walked to the side of the training hall and sat down as he waited quietly. People were still entering the training field. The sky began to darken as a few hours passed. There were almost 1,000 people in the training field by the time people stopped trickling in. Lu Ming could not help but lament about the high prerequisites to become a mystical sword sect apprentice. There were about 50,000 people at the front gate waiting to be assessed, but only about 1,000 of them were in the Vermilion Bird Hall. For the other halls, even if there were more people in the crowd, it would not make that much of a difference. Lu Ming estimated that there would only be around 5,000 new apprentices amongst the four halls combined, and that was the better case scenario, which meant that only 1 out of 10 applicants were accepted into the mystical sword sect. A full-bearded, burly man entered the training field. He let out a huge lion-like roar that left everyone else's ears ringing. Gather round. About 1,000 people scurried to assemble around the full-bearded, burly man. With an expressionless face, the burly man introduced himself loudly. I'm Xiekuang, and coaching and guidance elder. First of all, welcome to the Vermilion Bird Hall. You should already know that you're just a general apprentice for now. With clenched fists, indeed, all of them knew that when they were first accepted into the mystical sword sect, they would start by just being a general apprentice. However, being associated with the word general did not feel very good. Upon seeing the new apprentice's facial expressions, a satisfied smile appeared on Xiekuang's face as he continued, but you'll have a chance to get rid of the word general before your apprentice ranking. 3 days from now, there'll be a test for you together with the new apprentices from the White Tiger Hall, the Azure Dragon Hall, and the Onyx Tortoise Hall. If you pass, you'll be upgraded to become a bronze apprentice, which gives you better treatment, and you'll be able to cultivate at the Vermilion Bird Peak. If you fail, you'll continue to be a general apprentice and suffer in the general living area. Do you have faith in yourselves? Yes. All the new apprentices let out a resounding roar and were filled to the brim with fighting spirit and self-confidence. They were all at most 18 years old, and to be accepted into the mystical sword sect from different cities all over Blazing Sun Empire signified that they were all geniuses. Therefore, they were confident that they were one of a kind. Good, now we'll assign your dorms to you. Rest up, Xiekuang said in a loud voice. Surely, Where they stayed then was a place for general apprentices at the foot of the Vermilion Bird Peak. They were assigned to a small room each. As soon as Lu Ming entered his room, he went to the Supreme Shrine and started his cultivation. For better treatment and for more time to cultivate, it was crucial for him to be upgraded to the bronze rank in the test 3 days from now. No matter which hall in the mystical sword sect they were, apprentices were divided into a few rankings, which were the general, bronze, and silver. General apprentices were at the lowest tier, and they were tasked with generic and miscellaneous tasks. They were only allowed to cultivate after they had finished the tasks set by the management of the sect. They also had the worst treatment amongst the rest. Bronze apprentices were considered as an official apprentice of the mystical sword sect, and the treatment they were given would be undoubtedly better. Silver apprentices were the elite-level apprentices. They were the cream of the crop, strong, powerful, and recognized. It was said that there was another ranking above silver which were the gold apprentices. However, gold apprentices were another entity of their own, and they were not part of any hall. Each of them was extraordinary geniuses, and they were all allowed to cultivate at the top secret core area of the entire sect. They were so respected that they were comparable to the hall chiefs. As powerful as they may be, there were only a very scarce number of gold apprentices in the entire mystical sword sect. The gold ranking was very far for Lu Ming at the moment, so he did not put much thought into it. It was imperative for him to first upgrade to become a bronze apprentice. In the blink of an eye, 3 days passed. On the morning of the 4th day, more than 1,000 of them gathered once more at the training field. Xie Kuang was right up front as he roared with blazing eyes, "Right, 3 days have passed, so the test is officially starting, and it'll be held in the Midnight Hills 100 kilometers away from here. Let me warn you. The Midnight Hills are filled with demonic beasts and they're highly dangerous. It's common to die there, so if you want to opt out, stand up now and I'll proceed with the sect leaving application right away." There was pin-drop silence on the training field as no one stood up. The road of martial arts was not a bed of roses but was one filled with thorns, trials, and danger. Everyone had come mentally prepared the second they embarked on this journey. Furthermore, to opt out meant to leave the mystical sword sect as well. How could they leave after working so hard to be accepted into the mystical sword sect? If they opted out now, it would make them the laughing stock for the rest of their lives. Xie Kuang's eyes swept over the entire place, and a smile of approval appeared on his face. He said, "All right, since no one's opting out, now follow me. We'll gather with the other halls and head out to the Midnight Hills." When he was done, Xie Kuang turned around and started running out with all the new apprentices following suit. In a courtyard in the Vermilion Bird Peak, 2 shadows sat facing each other. One of them was Ning Feng, and the other was a smiling young man. "Have you arranged the necessaries, Ning Feng?" the smiley youth asked. A chill flashed across Ning Feng's face as he answered, "Don't worry, brother Duan Muo. Lu Ming won't walk out of the test alive." "That's good. Most of the Duan Muo family apprentices taking part in this test have seen his portrait, so when they meet him in the hills, they will kill him." Ning Feng, young Lord Lin pays a lot of attention to Lu Ming, so if you've done your part well, there will be benefits coming your way, the youth from the Duan Muo family grinned as he said. Ning Feng was ecstatic. He cupped his hands and replied, "I'll still need a favor from brother Duan Muo to compliment me a little in front of young Lord Lin." "Haha, sure thing." Chapter 29, Attractive Rewards. Lu Ming followed the rest as they made their way out of the sect and headed towards the Midnight Hills. With 1,000 apprentices running on the road at the same time, it caused a constant rumble of dust and dirt along the journey. There was a whopping 100 kilometers between the mystical sword sect and the Midnight Hills. Even though most of them were Blood Meridian's martial artists with a fairly high cultivation level, the 100-kilometer run still got them sweating buckets and panting like dogs. Nevertheless, Lu Ming was still doing okay. Although he was panting a little, he had not reached his limit yet. When the Vermilion Bird Hall apprentices arrived at the Midnight Hills, the people from the White Tiger Hall were already there, and there were 1,500 of them, about 500 more than those from the Vermilion Bird Hall. The White Tiger Hall had grown stronger over the years, and they were unabashedly the strongest of the 4 halls, so they also had the most apprentices who chose to enter the White Tiger Hall. "All right, take a break, everyone," Xiekuang hollered. The Vermilion Bird Hall apprentices took their places, sat down, and began their mediation to recover their breath. The earth rumbled as the Azure Dragon Hall and the Onyx Turtle Hall arrived soon after. According to Lu Ming's observation, the Azure Dragon Hall had 1,300 people. The Onyx Tortoise Hall had 1,200 people, which left the Vermilion Bird Hall with the least at only 1,000 people. There were 5,000 people combined. Swoosh! Swoosh! Air-piercing whistles came from the silhouette of a few people flying towards them at an alarming speed. Yes, they were flying without mounting any flying beasts. "Those are Leader Realm powerhouses," a cry of surprise rang out, and everyone looked enviously towards the sky. Lu Ming also looked at the skies enviously with a tinge of yearning. Who would not yearn to soar like eagles, looking down on mountains and valleys? "I'm gonna reach that place one day." Lu Ming clenched his fists tightly. 3 white-haired elderly men in silver robes swooped in at ground-breaking speed, and it only took them 3 breaths to reach above everyone's heads, where they remained floating in the air just like that. They were the mystical sword sect's silver-robed elders. Upon his arrival, the silver-robed elder in the middle spoke in a loud voice, "Now, I'll announce the rules of the test. This time, we placed metal pieces on some demonic beasts in the Midnight Hills. These metal pieces will have 1, 2, 5, and 10 points carved on them. There are 5,000 1-point pieces distributed amongst 1st grade 1st level to 6th grade 1st level beasts. 2,000 2-point pieces on 7th grade 1st level to 9th grade beasts. 400 5-point pieces and 210 point pieces on the 1st grade 2nd level to 3rd level beasts. You'll need 10 points to pass the test and be upgraded to be a bronze apprentice. You have 20 days before we return to this place to harvest your results. 10 points to pass." Lu Ming's eyes flickered. 10 points might not seem like a lot, but it was extremely difficult to accumulate since demonic beasts had a different strength scale than ordinary beasts. A 1st-level demonic beast was likened to a warrior realm martial artist, while a 2nd-level demonic beast would be likened to the master realm martial artists. Each level was divided into 9 grades and was no different from the martial artist's realm. 5 and 10-point pieces were available from 2nd-level beasts, far beyond the reach of an ordinary newbie. Those with cultivation below the master realm could only get the 1-point and 2-point metal pieces. According to the numbers the silver-robed elder gave, they were all snapped up. In total, 5,000 1-point pieces, 2,000 2-point pieces, and including the 5-point and 10-point pieces only added up to 13,000 points. When 13,000 points were divided by 10, that meant, on average, only at most 1,300 apprentices could pass the test. On average, only 1,300 out of 5,000 on average. The competition was undoubtedly fierce. Also, there's gonna be a handsome reward. The first place will get 5,000 sect contribution points and a spirit condensing fruit. The second place will get 4,000 sect contribution points. The third place will get 3,000 sect contribution points. 4th to 10th place will get 1,000 sect contribution points. 11th to 100th place will be rewarded accordingly. Lastly, I might as well tell you that there's actually a 500-point metal piece on some demonic beast that's for you to find. Right then, that's all for the rules. Take a breather and be on your way. Chaos erupted right after the silver-robed elder finished his announcement. The chatter was mostly about how attractive the rewards were. The mystical sword sect contribution points were used to exchange anything from pills, spiritual weapons, and martial arts techniques to gems, treasures, and many more. One sect contribution point was equivalent to 100 taels of silver. The reward for first place was 5,000 sect contribution points, which was equivalent to 500,000 taels of silver. Who would not want that? Spirit condensing fruit. The fruit was as attractive to Lu Ming as the sect contribution points. To an ordinary martial artist, the normal use of a spirit condensing fruit was to condense essential qi to raise their cultivation. However, it meant more than that to Lu Ming. To cultivate the second stage of the true war dragon technique to achieve essential qi condensation that was twice as thick, a few rare and precious ingredients were needed. One of the most precious ones was the spirit condensing fruit. I must get that spirit condensing fruit. Lu Ming's eyes shone like the sun. Apart from him, some of the stronger talents amongst the 5,000 also displayed the same burning desire. You're Lu Ming, aren't you? A clear, crisp voice rang out. There was a girl of about 15 or 16 years old with her hair pulled back in a ponytail. She looked dashing with her sword on her back, and she wore a body-hugging fencing uniform that showed off her curves in all the right places. Who are you? Lu Ming frowned at the sight of the girl. He did not know her, although she recognized him. Had she also been sent by the Duanmu family? The young lady smiled as if she sensed his hesitation. Lu Ming, my name is Feng Wu. Big Sis Mulan sent me to look for you. Mulan. Lu Ming's eyes gleamed. He lowered his guard and asked, how may I help you, Miss Feng Wu? Big Sis Mulan sent me to team up with you in case the Duanmu family tries anything funny in the test. What do you say? Shall we work together? Feng Wu replied. Lu Ming gave it some thought and nodded. All right. He had complete trust in Mulan. Besides, he was new to the mystical sword sect, so he was not familiar with the things that were happening. Therefore, Lu Ming thought that as he teamed up with someone else, he could find out more. That's great. There are 3 others in our team. I'll introduce you. Feng Wu smiled. She turned around and walked as Lu Ming followed behind her. 3 young men were leaning on a huge rock. Everyone, let me introduce you to our newest member, Lu Ming. Feng Wu pointed at Lu Ming and introduced him to the 3 young men. She then pointed at the 2 lankier ones and said, Lu Ming, this is Zhou Hao and Zhou Su. Both Zhou Hao and Zhou Su nodded nonchalantly as a form of greeting. Lu Ming, this is Yuan Chang. Feng Wu pointed to a rather handsome young man and presented him to Lu Ming. Feng Wu, why did you include just anybody in our team? We don't need a laggard, Yuan Chang jeered as soon as Feng Wu finished. Chapter 30, Feng Wu. Yuan Chang glared at Lu Ming and taunted him. Feng Wu's face darkened as she remarked, Yuan Chang, what's with the attitude? Lu Ming is my friend. Friend? Haha, we have a lot of friends, and not everyone can fit into our team. I'd just like to know what level is his cultivation on. Yuan Chang said coldly. 6th grade warrior realm, Lu Ming replied with a sardonic smile. Ha ha ha, 6th grade warrior realm. Junior Feng Wu, you'd include a 6th grade warrior realm trash into our group? Even our weakest is a 9th grade warrior realm. That piece of grade 6 trash will definitely hold us back. Yuan Chang laughed scornfully as he mocked Lu Ming. Disdain flashed across the other 2 young men's eyes, but they remained silent. Miss Feng, it looks like I'm not welcomed here. I'll make a move then. Lu Ming cupped his fists towards Feng Wu and walked away. Wait up, Lu Ming. Feng Wu cried as she grasped his hand hurriedly. She glowered at Yuan Chang, her eyes filled with fury as she growled, Yuan Chang, that's too much. I warn you, if you ever say something like that again, we'll go our separate ways. Feng Wu, you. Yuan Chang's face dripped with malice. He did not expect Feng Wu to speak to him like this because of Lu Ming. He looked at Lu Ming with resentment in his eyes, but he did not say anything else. Right after, Feng Wu looked at Lu Ming pleadingly and whispered, Lu Ming, I promised Big Sis Mulan to bring you along. If you leave, how am I gonna face Big Sis Mulan? Speechless, Lu Ming looked at Miss Pretty Girl Fengwu, who wanted him to stay because she was afraid of Mulan. Let's follow them for the time being, gather some news, and we'll look for opportunities to leave. Lu Ming thought about it, and nodded. Okay then, we'll team up. That's great. Happiness was evident on Fengwu's face. Yuan Chang's face darkened further as he saw Fengwu and Lu Ming whispering amongst themselves. There were already people who went into the Midnight Hills. Some formed groups of threes, while some were in groups of fives. There were also some solo rangers who disappeared into the Midnight Hills. Let's go too, then. Fengwu announced. She was clearly the pack leader. The 5 of them hurried into the Midnight Hills. The Midnight Hills had a perimeter range of thousands of kilometers. It was a forest filled with sky-high trees and demonic beasts, as beastly roars could be heard regularly. The outer 15 kilometers of the Midnight Hills are filled with ordinary beasts instead of demonic beasts. If we want points, we've gotta go in beyond the 15-kilometer range, Fengwu said to them. Everyone nodded and made their way fleetingly into the deeper parts of the Midnight Hills. Yuan Chang sprinted at full speed with a taunting smile on his face as he thought, let's see how you catch up with me, you trash. His smirk was wiped off his expression right away as soon as he saw Lu Ming cover a 0.6 meter distance in a single step. Lu Ming ran beside Zhou Hao and Zhou Su without breaking a sweat. This trash has pretty good techniques. Yuan Chang thought to himself foully. In their pack, Yuan Chang and Fengwu both were in 1st grade Master Realm, while Zhou Hao and Zhou Su were in 9th grade Warrior Realm. Yuan Chang could have gone faster, but Zhou Hao and Zhou Su would have been left behind. What he did not know was that Lu Ming was only at 50% of his speed. At the 5th stage of comprehension and practice, perfect divine-like usage of dragon serpent steps meant that each step Lu Ming took could cover a distance of 1.5 meters. After an hour, the 5 of them were 15 kilometers deep into the Midnight Hills, and they slowed down to watch out for the appearance of demonic beasts. A ferocious black panther leaped towards Zhou Hao from within the bushes with its claws gleamingly sharp like knives, ready to kill. Wrong target. Zhou Hao bellowed as he threw a punch that collided with the black panther's claws. Boom! The black panther flew backward and slammed heavily on the ground. It rolled for several rounds before it ran away as fast as it could. Metal Black Panther, a mere 6th grade 1st level demonic beast. Let it go, Zhou Hao. It has no metal pieces on it, Fengwu cried. Zhou Hao wanted to go for it but stopped after he heard what Fengwu said. Our mission is to earn points, so we'll avoid those without metal pieces to save time and energy, Fengwu continued. The rest nodded and continued on their journey, only to stop after a short while. Fengwu frowned as her gaze swept the area and commented, someone's following us. I've realized that too, said Yuan Chang. Lu Ming frowned because he felt a looming intent to kill him from the beginning. Who is it? Come out now. Fengwu ordered. Haha, junior sister Feng, you have such sharp senses. A humorless laugh rang from the left as 2 young men appeared. Wei Ziming. Recognition flashed in Lu Ming's eyes as he recognized Wei Ziming, the person he had slapped at the restaurant in the mystical Sword City. Wei Ziming stared venomously at Lu Ming, and beside him was someone that looked like Wei Ziming but younger. Was it you, Wei Ziyu? Why were you following us? Fengwu snapped. He was Wei Ziyu, Wei Ziming's younger brother. It was common for the more famous geniuses to know each other. Junior sister Feng, senior brother Yuan Chang, this is none of your business. I'm only here for him, Lu Ming. Wei Ziyu smiled and pointed. Fengwu's face darkened. What do you want with Lu Ming? Nothing much. He just slapped my brother twice a few days ago, so I'm just here to destroy both his hands. You'd better not get yourself involved, Junior Feng, Wei Ziyu replied. But I will get myself involved because Lu Ming's my teammate now, Feng Wu insisted. Feng Wu, I'd say, you'd better mind your own business. At that moment, a voice rang from the right side, and another two young men appeared. They did not hide their cultivation level as they both released the energy from the 9th grade warrior realm. Even if it was just the 9th grade warrior realm, it caused a drastic change in Feng Wu's expression. You're from the Duanmu clan. What are you guys doing here? She shrieked. It was easy to recognize people from the Duanmu clan since all of them had a tree symbol sewn on their sleeves. We're here for Lu Ming, of course. His life is ours now, one of the Duanmus replied with a faint smile. Are you going to kill Lu Ming? Feng Wu's complexion paled. How many people had Lu Ming offended? It was no wonder that Mulan wanted her to protect Lu Ming. At the side, Yuan Chong smiled gleefully. Lu Ming really had a death wish when he offended the Duanmu clan. Duanmu clan, Wei Ziyu, you both came like the rushing wind indeed. Lu Ming surveyed his surroundings, looking for a place to break out. He refused to sit around and wait for them to kill him. Chapter 31, Ambush. Haha, it seems there's no need for me to make a move, Lu Ming. Wei Ziyu snorted. That won't do. Nobody will be taking Lu Ming away today. Feng Wu said resolutely. Her announcement shocked everyone around her. The faces of the two youths from the Duanmu family darkened. Feng Wu, do you really want to go against the Duanmu family? Our rage isn't something that you can handle. Junior sister Feng Wu, it isn't sensible to cross the Duanmu family and the Wei brothers just for the mere Lu Ming. I think we should keep our hands to ourselves. Yuan Chong quickly chimed in from the side. Silence. Anyone who wants to go for Lu Ming will have to go through my blade first. A swathe of razor-sharp sword chi shot out from Feng Wu's sword as she unsheathed her blade. Immediately, a boulder that was around the size of a man was sliced in half. She emanated the aura of Master Realm. The faces of Wei Ziming, Wei Ziyu, and the two youths from the Duanmu family, as well as Yuan Chong, darkened. Yuan Chong, in particular, was greatly affected. He was gritting his teeth together. The eyes of Wei Ziyu and the two Duanmu family members lit up. While Lu Ming was an easy target for them, it would be difficult to deal with Feng Wu. Although Wei Ziyu had cultivated to the 1st grade Master Realm, the two youths from the Duanmu family were only on the 9th grade Warrior Realm, so the two youths from the Duanmu family ultimately decided to step down. Feng Wu, do you really think that you'll be able to keep Lu Ming safe? Let's see how you handle yourself when my family sends even stronger people over. Humph. Wei Ziyu sneered. With a twist of his body, he retreated together with Wei Ziming. Rest assured, Lu Ming. The Midnight Hills stretches on for over 500 kilometers. The Duanmu family won't be able to find us as long as we're careful, Feng Wu said as she walked up beside Lu Ming. Thank you very much. Lu Ming smiled feebly. To be honest, Lu Ming was confident that he would be able to wriggle out of the crisis even without Feng Wu. He was able to travel over 3 meters in a single step using the Dragon Serpent steps. He believed that even an ace in 1st grade Master Realm would not be able to catch up. However, Lu Ming was still thankful that Feng Wu stood firmly on his side despite the current situation. There's no need to be courteous with me. Let's continue the journey. Feng Wu said as she turned around. She shot a glare at Yuan Chong and walked forwards with large strides. Wu Feng then proceeded to take the lead. She changed directions after a certain distance to stop the Duanmu family and Wei Ziming from catching up. They had traveled over 50 kilometers in the woods by the evening. During their journey, they encountered a few demonic beasts that had several metal plates with points on them, and they successfully obtained a few pieces of metal tablets. The metal tablets were light and thin. 2 of the tables were etched with the number 1 on top, while the other had the number 2 etched on it. They had 2 plates worth a point, and another worth 2. The night quickly arrived. They started a fire and caught a demonic beast to cook as food. The Midnight Hills was even more precarious during the night. The demonic beasts that appeared were even more ferocious, so they decided to rest for the night and continue the search for metal tablets during the day. After they finished their meals and extinguished the fire, they found a secluded corner and meditated while resting respectively. The night passed without a single word being uttered. On the second day, they continued their search for demonic beasts with metal tablets on them. However, within the Midnight Hills territory, which spanned over 500 kilometers, there were countless demonic beasts, while there were only around 7,000 demonic beasts that held metal tablets. It was hard to find them within the vast confines of the forest. 3 days soon passed just like that. In those 3 days, the 5 of them had managed to find 6 tablets worth 1 point and 3 tablets worth 2 points. The points totaled to 12, which was only enough for one person to pass. As the sky was nearly plunged into darkness on the 3rd day, they found a silent shadow wolf. A metal tablet with the number 10 hung on the neck of the wolf. "It's a tablet worth 10 points. Get it?" Wu Feng joyfully gave pursuit in a flash. The silent shadow wolf was a first-grade second-level demonic beast. A normal demonic beast that was in first-grade second level would usually hold 5 points, while 10 points were reserved for demonic beasts on the second grade, or even the third grade, of the second level. It was a rare sight for a metal tablet worth 10 points to be on a demonic beast of first-grade second level, so they definitely would not make light of the opportunity. "Let's chase after it together," Feng Wu yelled behind her. Zhou Hao and Zhou Su, who were behind her, also rapidly darted to the front. However, the silent shadow wolf boasted great speed, thus Wu Feng was unable to catch up in a short time. In the mere span of a few breaths, Wu Feng and the silent shadow wolf were nowhere to be seen. Lu Ming started to use his technique to catch up, but a figure flitted across and blocked his path. It was Yuan Chang. "Yuan Chang, are you planning to make a move on me?" Lu Ming furrowed his brows. He, Lu Ming, you piece of trash. Wu Feng is truly a dumb b*tch for taking you under her wing, but I, Yuan Chang, have no intention of being involved with you. A strong surge of qi enveloped Lu Ming as Yuan Chang pointed his sword at him. "Yuan Chang, you should be 17 this year, aren't you?" Lu Ming suddenly asked. "That's right. So what?" Yuan Chang replied. "You're still in the first grade master realm at the age of 17, so I guess that makes you worse than trash. I'll be able to surpass you in 2 months." Lu Ming said. "That's hilarious. Do you think you'll be able to beat me in 2 months, a mere piece of trash in 6th grade warrior realm like you? You're making me laugh. But too bad you won't get the chance." Yuan Chang flashed a chilling smile. At that moment, the silence in the woods around them was interrupted as 2 figures appeared. They were the 2 youths from the Duanmu family before. "I guess you're still smart, Yuan Chang. Thanks for your cooperation. You can go now," one of the youths from the Duanmu family said. "Haha, Lu Ming. Just accept that this is your fate." Yuan Chang burst into laughter. He flitted towards the direction of Wu Feng and the silent shadow wolf in a flash. "Lu Ming, would you like to send yourself to the afterlife, or do you need our help?" one of the youths from the Duanmu family mocked as they stared at Lu Ming after Yuan Chang left. They looked as if they already had him cornered. "With just the 2 of you? The Duanmu family really does look down on me." Lu Ming sighed. Suddenly, he stomped his foot on the ground before charging towards the 2 youths from the Duanmu family like a flash of lightning. Swish! In the midst of charging, a blade of light flashed towards one of the youths with the intent to maim. Offense was the best defense. Now that they were archenemies, Lu Ming would no longer be gentle. The 2 youths from the Duanmu family were startled. They never expected Lu Ming to be so daring. As someone in 6th grade warrior realm, he was facing 2 people in the 9th grade warrior realm, and had actually made the first move. Furthermore, his strike was sharp, ruthless, and concise. Retreat. The duo hastily stepped back. Poof. Despite their efforts, Lu Ming's blade still sliced across one of their chests. The slash went as deep as the bone, causing blood to immediately flow out. That's a pity. Just a little more and I would have been able to slice apart his heart. Ninth grade warrior realm is certainly strong. Lu Ming sighed as he consoled himself. He had no problems massacring a martial artist in 8th grade warrior realm with his current combat power. On the other hand, while he had no problems with battling against someone in the 9th grade warrior realm, it was hard for him to kill one. You dare to hurt me, Lu Ming? I'll tear you into 1,000 pieces, the youth that was injured by Li Ming roared at the top of his voice. He was sweating from the fear of what just transpired. Meanwhile, the other youth was darting towards Lu Ming at a rapid pace. Then, let's duke it out. Lu Ming charged ahead as well. Chapter 32. Chapter 32, Completed Blood Meridian. In an instant, the three of them clashed against each other. Ding! Ding! The blades glimmered in the air as they crossed against each other. Sparks were flying everywhere amidst the intense sounds. Both of the youths from the Duan Mu family cultivated inferior yellow-level sword techniques. They had only cultivated to the outstanding dexterity stage and were far below Lu Ming's proficiency in sword arts. However, their individual cultivation was higher than Lu Ming's by a whole 3 grades. They had the upper hand for a moment as they teamed up together. I'll end the injured one first. Lu Ming's eyes flashed like lightning, and an endless stream of the lustrous sword technique swarmed the injured youth. How can he be so strong? He boasts such combat power even though he's merely on the 6th grade warrior realm. Such a person cannot live. He must be killed. The two youths from the Duan Mu family were astonished as Lu Ming's power exceeded their expectations. The roars of two beasts rang out. A bloody red glow emanated from the backs of the Duan Mu family's two youths as two black panthers appeared. There were 3 red-colored meridian focal points on the bodies of the black panthers. It was evident that the youth's blood meridians were 3rd-level blood meridians. The 2 black panthers then pounced on the respective youth's bodies. In that instant, black glows drifted out from their body as their chi increased dramatically. It was an eruption of the blood meridian. The eruption of their blood meridians increased the 2 youths' speed by 30%. Blood meridians always had an affinity towards a certain attribute. Some blood meridians would have a higher affinity to defense while others would have a higher affinity to offend, as well as increase speed. The attribute that had the affinity would get a boost when a blood meridian erupted. Normally, a 1st-level blood meridian's eruption would boost an attribute by 1/10. A 2nd-level blood meridian's eruption would boost an attribute by 2/10. With that logic, an attribute would increase by 90% when a 9th-level blood meridian erupted, which was nearly twofold. The blood meridians of the Duan Mu family's youth were partial to speed, which increased by 3/10 after their blood meridians erupted. No matter which attribute was boosted, it also implied the increase in combat power. Naturally, some higher-grade blood meridians would have an affinity for several attributes, which would also mean that those attributes would be boosted in tandem with each other. Several attributes being boosted at one time would signify an even more terrifying increase in combat power. After their blood meridians erupted, the combat power of the Duan Mu family's youths increased significantly as they started to crush Lu Ming. That's a pity. I can't make my blood meridian erupt because it hasn't completely grown yet. I guess that's my weakness. Lu Ming pondered as he battled against the duo with all his might. In that instant, someone arrived with a swooshing sound once again. Haha, time to die, Lu Ming. It was Wei Ziming and Wei Ziyu. Wei Ziyu swung his sword before he even arrived. A flash of green sword chi burst out from his blade. It was a remote manifestation of sword chi which was unbelievably sharp as it was aimed at Lu Ming with the intention to maim. Danger! In that instant, Lu Ming was enveloped with an urgent sense of danger as every strand of hair on him stood on their ends. The sword chi of a master realm was not something that he could withstand right now. He wanted to dodge it but was firmly stopped by the Duan Mu family's youths. At that moment, a sharp sound sounded from the opposite direction. There was another slash of sword chi flying towards Lu Ming. There was another Master Realm martial artist who wanted Lu Ming dead. Two Master Realm martial artists were teaming up together, and two youths in 9th grade warrior realm were blocking Lu Ming's way. They were driving him into a corner, putting him in a precarious situation. "I'll enter the Supreme Shrine." If he was not able to withstand it, he could only take shelter in the Supreme Shrine. Although it may ultimately result in the Supreme Shrine being exposed, it was better than getting killed. However, his expression immediately changed as he realized that he could no longer enter the Supreme Shrine as it did not react to him in his mind. Could it be that I can't enter the Supreme Shrine while in battle? Am I going to die here? No, I can't let myself die. Lu Ming screamed in his mind. In that instant, his mind was hyper-focused as his blood boiled. He wanted to find a silver lining in that hopeless situation. Suddenly, an intense itch spread as a red beam shot up from his spine. At the same time, a peculiar whoosh of energy surged from his spine into his entire body. This is the power of a blood meridian. My blood meridian has finally finished growing. Blood meridian eruption. Without any time to think things through, Lu Ming immediately made his blood meridian erupt. A black glow started to spread across his body. Zing! Zing! It was at that moment that the two sword chi slashed across Lu Ming's body. Two sharp energies penetrated his body the moment the sword chi hit him. An intense round of pain spread all over him as a mouthful of blood spurted from his mouth. The sword chi's power seemed to have diminished by half. Lu Ming could instantly sense that the power of the sword chi that landed on him was halved. If it were in full power, there was no chance that he could have handled it. Could it be because of my blood meridian? He racked his brains for a second, but there was no time for second thoughts. Lu Ming took a step forward and darted towards the wounded youth from the Duan Mu family like a gust of wind. The youth from the Duan Mu family did not expect Lu Ming to be still alive after being hit by the sword chi from the two Master Realm martial artists. He wanted to defend himself, but it was too late. A sword slid across the youth's throat like a bolt of light as blood squirted everywhere. Lu Ming's figure darted ahead in a flash as he used the dragon serpent steps. "Lu Ming, how dare you kill a disciple from the Duan Mu family? You're courting death," someone screamed in a frenzy. Lu Ming took a hurried glance and saw who the furious yell came from. It was one of the Master Realm martial artists that had made a move. With rosewood patterns sewn onto the hems of his sleeves, he was evidently a young disciple of the Duan Mu family. "Duan Mu family, I swear that I will eventually raze you to the ground." The murderous impulse within Lu Ming was thick as he flitted onwards while forcefully bracing against his own injuries. "Follow him." Behind Lu Ming, Wei Ziyu and the martial master from the Duan Mu family were in hot pursuit. However, Lu Ming had cultivated the dragon serpent steps to the 5th stage, so he could traverse over 3 meters in a single step at a speed that outmatched even a first-grade master realm. Wei Ziyu and the other person had no chance of catching up with Lu Ming. After half an hour, Lu Ming managed to throw them off his scent. Then, he found a cave and darted into it. Huff! Huff! He gasped for air as he sat in the cave. His body was pulsing with pain. Although he had blocked the sword chi from the two Master Realm martial artists, the injuries that he had sustained were not light. "Let's see if I can enter the Supreme Shrine now." At the thought of that, Lu Ming's body disappeared and reappeared in the Supreme Shrine. Could it be that I can't enter the Supreme Shrine when in battle or in danger? Why is that? Unable to figure it out, Lu Ming was rendered speechless. It seemed that it would be impossible to hide from danger in the Supreme Shrine. He needed to rely on himself. "Let's focus on nursing my injuries." Lu Ming started to nurse his wounds as he sat on his knees and started to recite the true war dragon technique. Soon, he recovered from his injuries after 3 days. Lu Ming's mind entered his spine. There was a radiant beam of red with a black worm the size of a finger that manifested within the light. The worm was limbless, but it shone with a brilliant black as if it was made from powdered black jade. Is this my blood meridian? Why isn't there even a single meridian focal point? Lu Ming was speechless. Chapter 33, Unbelievable Blood Meridian Ability. Blood meridians were categorized into 9 levels, and each level had its own number of meridian focal points. A first-level blood meridian would have a single meridian focal points while a second-level blood meridian would have 2. The amount would increase based on the level. However, there was not even a single meridian focal point on Lu Ming's blood meridian. Could it be a 0-level blood meridian? Nobody had ever heard of such a thing before. Furthermore, Lu Ming had tested it before. His blood meridian's absorption rate of the spirit energy around him was comparable to that of a 4th-level blood meridian. I also shaved off half of the sword chi when my blood meridian erupted. Could my blood meridian have a special skill? Lu Ming pondered as his eyes flashed with excitement. This skill was truly terrifying if it could really block half of someone's attack. Lu Ming could not wait to test it out. At that moment, he exited the Supreme Shrine and entered the woods in search of demonic beasts. It was not long before he found one. The Flame Wolf was a demonic beast on 7th grade 1st level. With the ability to spit fireballs, it boasted great strength. The Flame Wolf opened its gaping mouth and roared when it noticed Lu Ming. A fireball gathered and flew towards Lu Ming. It's time to test the power of my blood meridian when it erupts. At the thought of that, a fountain of power surged from Lu Ming's spine into his body. His body started to shine a brilliant dark hue that emanated a devouring aura. Lu Ming did not dodge but allowed the fireball to land on him instead. In that instant, he could clearly feel the power of the fireball being continuously consumed by the dark shine of his body until only half of its power remained. He took a step back and avoided the remaining half of the fireball. So, apparently, the attack wasn't blocked, but rather, it was devoured. Half of its power was devoured. Shock flashed across Lu Ming's eyes. At that instant, the power from the blood meridian within Lu Ming's body disappeared without a trace. For real? It's only been a single breath. It deactivated too quickly. He was speechless. It was then that the Flame Wolf shot another ball of flame out. However, Lu Ming was unable to make his blood meridian erupt another time despite trying to do so. He understood that it was because the strength of his blood meridian was depleted and needed time to slowly recover. However, wasn't the duration too short? He was aware that the average warrior realm martial artist could hold an erupted blood meridian for approximately 1 minute. The strength of the blood meridian would be depleted after approximately a minute and required time to recover. The power of the blood meridian would increase in Master Realm, allowing it to erupt for approximately 2 minutes. The duration would increase with the growth of cultivation from there on. However, Lu Ming could only erupt his blood meridian for the span of a single breath. An average breath would only take 2 seconds. That was a whopping 30-fold difference compared to others. It seemed that although the ability to block half of an attack's power was seemingly overpowered, it could only be used at a crucial moment. Also, how strong of an attack would it be able to withstand? Everything had its limits, and Lu Ming did not believe that his blood meridian would be able to withstand an attack from someone several leagues above him. He needed to find out about all this. No matter what the outcome was, Lu Ming was still satisfied. This skill would be able to turn the tables in a crucial moment, so it could definitely be used as a trump card. He took a step with the dragon serpent steps and evaded the Flame Wolf's attack before retaliating with one attack himself. A blade pierced the Flame Wolf's heart, and it thrashed around as it took its last breath. I wonder how long it'll take before my blood meridian fully recovers. His black worm-shaped blood meridian manifested as he thought about it, but Lu Ming wanted to observe a little while longer. It was at that moment that something peculiar happened. The black worm-shaped blood meridian suddenly widened its mouth towards the flame wolf's corpse and created a strong suction. 9 droplets of blood essence darted out from the flame wolf's wound and were swallowed by the worm-shaped blood meridian in one go. At the very next moment, an immense power surged from Lu Ming's spine. The power melded together with Lu Ming's essential qi, causing his cultivation to spike erratically. He instantly ascended from beginner of 6th grade warrior realm to peak beginner of 6th grade warrior realm. Buzz. A pale red meridian focal point then appeared on the black worm-shaped blood meridian. It shone ever so brilliantly in Lu Ming's eyes. Lu Ming was stunned. He took a moment before he reacted. My blood meridian can devour the blood essence of demonic beasts and convert it into essential qi? And on top of that, my blood meridian can increase in levels. Lu Ming was murmuring to himself as his eyes shone brilliantly. His heart was wild with joy. It was already unbelievable that blood essence could be devoured and converted into essential qi. However, level advancement was unheard of. Everyone knew that a blood meridian's level was fixed. Bar the exceptions of peculiar cases, a blood meridian was normally unable to advance levels. However, his blood meridian had broken all the rules by being able to advance levels. Lu Ming could distinctly sense that the blood essence he consumed from the flame wolf just now was divided into two. One half was converted into essential qi, while the other half was absorbed by his blood meridian. It was because of that caused an improvement in both essential qi and blood meridian. If he continued on with devouring blood essence from demonic beasts, would the level of his blood meridian continuously advance? Advancement to the 5th level, the 6th level, the 8th level and 9th level, or even surpassing that. It was not impossible. Lu Yao's 5th level blood meridian was nothing. Ha ha ha. Lu Ming broke into a loud guffaw. Time to hunt some demonic beasts. Lu Ming could not wait to hunt for some demonic beasts and begin testing. It was not long before Lu Ming found another demonic beast in the 8th grade 1st level. Furthermore, there was a metal tablet worth 2 points on the demonic beast. Lu Ming defeated the beast and kept the metal tablet. He circulated his blood meridian and once again extracted 9 droplets of blood essence from the demonic beast. Blood essence was the soul's cumulation of a living being and contained a massive amount of energy. Legends told that no matter human or beast, there were only 9 drops of blood essence in a single body. The blood essence was once again divided into 2 after it being consumed by the dark worm-shaped blood meridian. One half was converted to Lu Ming's essential qi. In that instant, Lu Ming made a breakthrough in his cultivation and reached mid-6th grade warrior realm. As for the blood-red meridian focal points on the blood meridian, although it did not level up, its color was a shade deeper. Surely enough, the blood essence of a demonic beast on the 8th grade 1st level had a stronger effect than that of a demonic beast on the 7th grade. Let's call you the spirit-devouring worm. I'm coming after you, Duanmu family. Time to continue. Lu Ming dubbed the dark worm-shaped blood meridian the spirit-devouring worm. Then, he proceeded to hunt down demonic beasts within the Midnight Hills in a frenzy and absorb their blood essence. His cultivation increased at an insane pace. In just over one day, his cultivation ascended to the 7th grade warrior realm, successfully breaking through to the peak top of 8th grade warrior realm after 3 days. Surely enough, the level of his blood meridian had increased during that moment. Another meridian focal point appeared as it turned into a 2nd level blood meridian. After relentlessly hunting demonic beasts for 3 days, Lu Ming finally figured out a part of the countless mysteries his blood meridians held. The first thing was that there was a cap for the blood meridian's skill to absorb half the power of an attack. He discovered that it only worked against demonic beasts that were 5 grades above him, at most. It was ineffective against anything more than 5 grades. For example, if Lu Ming was in 1st grade warrior realm, it would only work against someone below the 6th grade warrior realm. It would be rendered completely useless if he met someone on the 7th grade warrior realm or above. The eruption of the blood meridian initially only lasted for the span of a single breath. It would take 3 hours after erupting before it could be used again. However, there was a change after the blood meridian advanced by a level. For every level that the blood meridian advanced, the duration of its eruption would increase by another breath span. The duration of Lu Ming's blood meridian eruption had increased to 3 breath spans when his blood meridian advanced to the second level. Similarly, the time that was required for the strength of his blood meridian to recover was reduced slightly. All this motivated Lu Ming even more. Chapter 34, Successive Breakthroughs and a Comeback. While Lu Ming was traversing through the woods, there was a sudden change in his expression as he murmured, "It's like we're two bad pennies, but you've come at the right time." At that moment, several sounds pierced the silence around Lu Ming as figures appeared from the sides, his front, back, and left flank. Wei Ziyu and Wei Ziming stood in front of Lu Ming while there were 4 members of the Duanmu family behind him. Apart from the young martial artist of Master Realm, there were another 3 youths. To his left, there was a youth donned in a brocade garb who was emanating a strong aura. He was a Master Realm expert. The moment they spotted Lu Ming, the people from these 3 sides formed a circle with him in the middle. 3 of them were in 1st grade Master Realm while the other 3 were on the 9th grade Warrior Realm. Wei Ziming could be dismissed as a non-factor. "Let's see where you can run to now, Lu Ming," Wei Ziming said as he glared at Lu Ming. Lu Ming casually glanced at Wei Ziming. "You piece of trash, have a duel with me if you've got what it takes." He laughed. "You're a dead man walking, Lu Ming. I shan't bother to have a dispute with a dead man." Wei Ziming snarled. "Lu Ming, you dare to kill a disciple of my family, the Duanmu family. You're courting death," the young Master Realm martial artist from the Duanmu family insulted. "I'm courting death? Your family wanted me dead first. The way you put it, I guess I can only die without retaliating, huh?" Lu Ming said. "That's right. My Duanmu family wants you dead, so there's nothing you can do except to accept your fate. How could a lowly scum like you compare to the lives of the Duanmu family's disciples?" The Duanmu family's youth scoffed. He was confident, arrogant, and unreasonable. He. Lu Ming smiled. He did not bother to squabble with someone like him. "And what about you? I don't think I know you. Are you someone from the Duanmu family as well?" he said as he shifted his gaze towards the youth in the brocade garb. "Haha, Lu Ming, since you're about to meet your end, I'll let you in on this. Senior brother Ningfeng sent me. You're as bold as brass to offend senior brother Ningfeng when you've just joined. Are you tired of living?" The youth in the brocade garb smiled. "All right, stop spouting nonsense with him. Let's kill him now. I don't have the time to squabble with him. He was Duanmu Fei." As he finished speaking in an icy tone, he charged towards Lu Ming in a frenzy. A green sword chi pierced through the air with a sharp whistle. Wei Ziyu and the youth in the brocade garb did not make a move, as they thought that one person was enough to deal with Lu Ming. Lu Ming stomped his feet on the group as Duanmu Fei's sword chi was about to land on him. He used the dragon serpent steps and dodged the sword chi before darting away like a bolt of lightning. His target was the youth of the Duanmu family who was in 9th grade Warrior Realm. His blade whistled as a beam of sword chi was sent flying. With Lu Ming's cultivation at top 8th grade Warrior Realm, the youth from the Duanmu family was unable to avoid Lu Ming's sword chi even if he was on full alert. The blade directly pierced the youth's heart. It was a kill in a single blow. Devour. With a single thought from Lu Ming's mind, a strong pull gravitated from his palms, pulling out 9 droplets of blood essence from his opponent's wound. It traveled across Lu Ming's arm and was devoured by the spirit-devouring worm. This was the method of using the spirit-devouring worm that Lu Ming had figured out over these few days. He could apply the devouring aura on his hands and silently absorb the blood essence of others. "Ah! Lu Ming, you're looking for death. Duan Mufei bellowed furiously as he charged towards Lu Ming. An icy smile formed on Lu Ming's lips. He did not go head-on against Duan Mufei, and he used the dragon serpent steps to charge towards another youth who was in 9th grade warrior realm. With the spirit-devouring worm continuously refining the blood essence at the same time, a surge of energy poured into Lu Ming's body. The energy contained within the blood essence of someone in 9th grade warrior realm was immense, allowing Lu Ming to increase his cultivation at a mind-boggling speed. His cultivation was already at top 8th grade warrior realm, but it constantly closed the distance to 9th grade warrior realm. Although the youth from the Duan Mu family tried his best to avoid it, his speed was incomparable to Lu Ming's. He was instantly killed with a flash of the blade. Lu Ming absorbed his blood essence at the same time. Crash! With the surging essential chi from the blood essence of the two 9th grade warrior realm experts, Lu Ming finally broke free from his shackles and made another breakthrough. His cultivation reached the 9th grade warrior realm instantly. Damn it! What are you two waiting for? Start making a move together and destroy Lu Ming. Duan Mufei howled. Within these few days, a total of 3 people on the 9th grade warrior realm from the Duan Mu family had fallen to the hands of Lu Ming. Youngsters who were in the 9th grade warrior realm below the age of 18 were considered elites, even in the Duan Mu family. After the 3 of them died in one go, he had no idea how to explain it to the seniors of the Duan Mu family when he returned. That was why he loathed Lu Ming from the bottom of his heart. Kill him. End him. Wei Ziyu and the youth in brocade screamed as they charged towards Lu Ming. Since Lu Ming killed 2 experts on the 9th grade warrior realm in one go, his prowess had exceeded their expectations. Their dignity was the last thing on their minds as they formed an alliance. Duan Mufei and Wei Ziyu sent a flash of sword chi flying while youth in the brocade garb unleashed a golden palm. A sharp whistling sound could be heard as they teamed up and charged towards Lu Ming. Haha, a brilliant move. Let's see how strong Master Realm is. Lu Ming chuckled. His confidence skyrocketed as his cultivation broke through to the 9th grade warrior realm. Lu Ming darted towards Duan Mufei with a twist of his body without caring about the attacks from Wei Ziyu and the youth in the brocade garb coming from behind him. Die! The trio's eyes flashed with murderous intent. Blood meridian eruption. At that moment, Lu Ming's blood meridian erupted as a layer of dark light glistened brilliantly. It was also the same moment that the attacks from Wei Ziyu and the others landed on Lu Ming's body. However, they were bewildered when they did not see Lu Ming die. His body merely swayed for a moment, but the sword in his hand did not stop. It darted out like a surge of lightning and pierced through Duan Mufei's heart. Not even in his wildest dreams did Duan Mufei expect Lu Ming to survive attacks from 3 people and even manage to make a counterattack. He was unable to dodge in time even if he wanted to. Lu Ming pierced his heart in a poof. His side turned black as he fell heavily onto the floor. Duan Mufei died. There's still 2 breaths left. Lu Ming's mind was spinning as he sliced his sword towards the youth in the brocade garb. Ah! Die! The youth in the brocade garb almost lost his nerves when he witnessed Duan Mufei's death. He then unleashed 2 consecutive strikes from his palm. However, Lu Ming recklessly allowed the strikes to land on his body. Without even pausing for a moment, the blade in his hand sliced through the throat of the youth in the brocade garb. Blood went spurting everywhere from the clean slice across the youth's throat. His hands grasped at his neck as his eyes were wide with mixed emotions, including dissatisfaction, pleading, and hate. Retreat! Hurry! Wei Ziyu howled in terror from the side. When Lu Ming successively killed 2 experts in Master Realm, Wei Ziyu lost his courage and fled in horror. Don't you think it's too late to leave now? An icy smile hung on Lu Ming's face as he pursued Wei Ziyu with a twist of his body. Chapter 35. Chapter 35, Ascension to 3rd Level Blood Meridian. As Lu Ming traversed over 16 meters in a single step using the Dragon Serpent steps, Wei Ziyu had no chance of escaping. Hardly had over 10 breaths passed before Lu Ming was right behind Wei Ziyu. I'm going all out. Wei Ziyu yelled. His blood meridian erupted as he turned around and charged towards Lu Ming. He understood that begging for his life or even throwing threats was useless. He could tell that Lu Ming's moves were cruel, firm, and concise from the way he made a move just now. Even a talented disciple from the Duanmu family had been killed just like that. He was unbelievably bold and would definitely not fear the Wei family. Clang! Clang! Their blades clashed against each other as they faced each other in a magnificent battle. The eruption of Lu Ming's blood meridian had ended well before that moment. However, with the help of the true war dragon technique and the fourth stage of the lustrous sword art, he towered over Wei Ziyu. Wei Ziyu's sword technique was merely an inferior yellow-level sword technique that was in the fourth stage. Their blades clashed as they waged war for over tens of moves. Lu Ming's sword technique grew in speed until he finally pierced Wei Ziyu's heart with a stab. Wei Ziyu lost in a head-on battle and losing spelled his death. Lu Ming then looked somewhere else with a sneer and went in pursuit of that direction. Fleeing for his life, Wei Ziming wanted nothing more than to grow another pair of legs at that moment. How can he be so strong? How? He even butchered Master Realm martial artists. Little brother is no match for him even if he was stronger. I must flee and ask father to send powerhouses to kill Lu Ming, Wei Ziming growled as he was making a run for it. Are you still thinking about killing me at a time like this? Suddenly, a voice rang out beside Wei Ziming. Ah! Wei Ziming screamed in fright. He turned his head around to see Lu Ming leering at him, and he felt chilled to the bone. Wei Ziming dared not continue his escape. He stopped in his tracks and kneeled in a heartbeat as he began to plead, Lu Ming, spare me. I'm begging you. This gave Lu Ming a slight surprise. It turned out that Wei Ziming was weak-willed, a completely different person from Wei Ziyu. I've already killed Wei Ziyu. Do you think I'll let you off? Lu Ming smiled feebly. Lu Ming, no, brother Ming, don't worry. I won't utter a word about what happened today. Also, you've killed Wei Ziyu, so that's great. He was more talented than I am. I lived in his shadow and always wanted him dead. Now that he's gone, nobody will contest my position as the Lord of the Guardian Fire City, Wei Ziming begged pleadingly as tears and snot slid down his face. However, his mind was a howling fury. If he lived to tell the tale, he would definitely return Lu Ming the favor back by tenfold or even 100-fold. If I don't kill you, aren't I just waiting for your revenge? Do you think I'm that stupid? Lu Ming smiled. No, Wei Ziming yelped. He tried to get up and take off, but his head flew into the distance at the flash of a blade. One of them got away. What a pity. Lu Ming murmured. There was still a youth from the Duanmu family who was in the 9th grade warrior realm. He turned around with all his might and was so quick that it was impossible to catch up with him. PFFF. Lu Ming's body swayed as a mouthful of fresh blood suddenly spurted out from his mouth. The attacks of martial realm are really strong. He sighed. He had erupted his blood meridian and blocked the attacks of Duanmu Fei and others just now. Although he was protected from half the power of those attacks, and another portion with the protection from the 9th grade warrior realm, he was still injured. However, it was worth the injury in exchange for the lives of 3 Master Realm experts. From the perspective of combat power, Lu Ming might not have been able to handle 3 of them, even if he had the spirit-devouring worm. Lu Ming had used the peculiar skill of the spirit-devouring worm to surprise them just now and defeat them in one go, so Duanmu Fei and the youth in the brocade garb did not even get the chance to erupt their blood meridians. Lu Ming wiped the blood from the corner of his lips and returned to the battlefield. He consumed the blood essence of Wei Ziyu, Duanmu Fei, and the youth in the brocade garb. After that, he left the area and found himself a secluded spot to begin refining the blood essence. The blood essences of the 3 Master Realm experts held immeasurable energy. Even if only half of it was converted into essential chi, it would significantly accelerate Lu Ming's journey in his cultivation. At the same time, the injuries that he sustained were rapidly recovering. After the blood essences of the three Master Realm martial artists were fully refined, another pale red meridian focal point appeared beside the two red meridian focal points on the spirit-devouring worm. It was a third-level blood meridian. Lu Ming's blood meridian had ascended to another level, reaching the third level. At the same time, Lu Ming's cultivation had reached the peak top of 9th grade warrior realm. He was just shy of breaking into Master Realm. However, it was that small gap that was blocking Lu Ming's journey. I've been improving too rapidly in this period of time. My essential chi is too impure and my foundation isn't solid enough. It's no wonder I can't make the breakthrough. With the increased amount of blood essence devoured came the drawbacks. After all, the improvement did not come from his own cultivation, so his foundation was not solid and his essential chi was impure. Were it not for that, he would have been able to step into Master Realm with the blood essence from the three Master Realm experts. I'll have to stop devouring blood essences and spend some time consolidating my foundation. Lu Ming believed that his essential chi would once again be pure and viscous after spending some time consolidating his foundation, which would naturally lead to him breaking through the Master Realm. Lu Ming then found another spot to move to. He did not continue to hunt for demonic beasts but concentrated on cultivating the true war dragon technique and other martial arts skills instead. He spent a total of 9 days cultivating. After 9 days of grueling cultivation, Lu Ming's essential chi was no longer impure. It had returned to being pure and viscous while his foundation was solid. Naturally, it led to Lu Ming's cultivation breaking through into the Master Realm. A black sword chi shot out when Lu Ming slashed his sword, chopping a tree that was as thick as a human waist. Essential chi was able to physically manifest in the Master Realm. It was unbelievably strong and was able to form sword chi and chi strikes. My essential chi is several times thicker now. If I were to battle against Master Realm martial artists like Wei Ziyu and Duan Mufei, I'd be able to end them in one move. Lu Ming's eyes glimmered brightly. Let's try out the Dragon Serpent steps. Over that period of time, his other martial arts skills did not improve. However, the Dragon Serpent steps made another breakthrough, reaching the 6th stage called the One with Martial Arts stage. It was the highest stage of a martial arts skill. In an explosion of essential chi and the vibrations of his muscles, Lu Ming's figure darted around like the wind. The leaves that had fallen onto the ground were dancing in the air while his figure was already 23 meters away. Make no mistake, it was 23 meters. The supposed distance traversed in the One with Martial Arts stage was a little over 12 meters. However, his breakthrough to the Master Realm allowed him to achieve his current distance. A higher level of cultivation would naturally lead to a greater effect when using the same martial arts skill. There are still 4 days left from the end of the trial. I'll have to do my best to find those point-worthy metal pieces. Lu Ming darted away and disappeared into the woods. Chapter 36, Saving the Damsel in Distress. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation. Lu Ming had killed at least 10 6th grade first-level demonic beasts before this, and there were point-worthy metal pieces on some of them. He had 5 2-point metal pieces and 3 1-point metal pieces, totaling up to 13 points. He has also gotten a total of 12 points from Wei Ziyu and the rest. Lu Ming now had 25 points, which were enough for him to be upgraded to be a bronze apprentice. With 100 to 1 shot of getting first place, merely being upgraded was not enough for him. The first place winner would be rewarded with a spirit condensing fruit. He would fight for it with all his might even if he was currently far behind in terms of points. Lu Ming put his Dragon Serpent steps to full use and zipped through the woods. He went straight for demonic beasts with point-worthy metal pieces on them, skipping all the ordinary demonic beasts. By nightfall, he had gotten another 1-point metal piece and a 2-point metal piece, which brought him to a total of 28 points. Clang! Suddenly, Lu Ming heard fighting sounds near where he was. Someone's there. Lu Ming could vaguely see firelight flickering up ahead through the canopy of trees from where the sound came from. Let's take a look. He moved towards the bonfire up ahead and saw 4 people by the bonfire: Feng Wu, Yuan Chang, Zhou Hao, and Zhou Su. However, things were not as he would have expected. Zhou Hao and Zhou Su lay limply on the ground, their faces a sickly pale color. Feng Wu had her sword drawn, but her body was shaking. Her face held the same shade of white while her eyes filled with rage as she glowered at Yuan Chang. Yuan Chang, why did you poison the meat? She snarled. With his sword drawn and a warped expression, Yuan Chang snickered. Why? Feng Wu, you *tch, I pursued you endlessly for the past 2 years. Why didn't you accept me? You even yelled at me because of that *starred Lu Ming before this. I've had enough. You've now been poisoned by my unscented tissue paralyzing drug. Let's see how you'll fight it? I'll make you my woman today, haha. Feng Wu's face was distorted with rage as she yelled, how dare you, Yuan Chang? Big sis Mulan will make you pay for this when the test is over. Mulan? Heh. That *tch will become the Duan Mu family's play toy sooner or later. Also, did you think you were gonna leave this place alive? Yuan Chang jeered. Are you gonna kill us? Feng Wu sputtered. She could barely stand upright as she struggled to maintain her balance. Heh, Feng Wu, I'll take care of you personally after I take care of you, so you'll only belong to me, Yuan Chang taunted. You pervert. Feng Wu's face was as pale as death. With a shiver, she collapsed onto the ground. Senior brother Yuan, don't kill me. Have your way. Take your time with Feng Wu. I promise not to breathe a word of whatever happened today. Zhou Hao cried. Me too, senior brother Yuan. I swear I'll die a painful death if I say anything at all. Zhou Su added. Unfortunately, I believe that dead people are the best secret keepers. Yuan Chang walked towards Zhou Hao and Zhou Su with a sinister smile on his face. No, have mercy on me, the 2 of them cried out in extreme terror. Slash. Yuan Chang's sword gleamed as it slit open Zhou Hao and Zhou Su's throats. Now, it's just you and I. He then turned and sauntered towards Feng Wu. You know. Feng Wu's face was deathly pale as she fearfully tried to scuttle backward. Unfortunately, she could barely move a limb after being poisoned by the unscented tissue paralyzing drug. Glee filled Yuan Chang's heart upon the sight of a paralyzed Feng Wu. He walked to her side and grabbed her by the arm. Ryip. Debris of cloth flew everywhere. Die a horrific death, you filthy animal. Feng Wu cried out in despair. At that moment, she gave up all hope. She treated Yuan Chang like a friend, so she certainly did not expect him to be such a monster. She was supposed to enjoy life, especially her youth, but she was going to die here. In addition to that, she would be defiled before she died. Feng Wu wanted to end it there and then. This place is so secluded. Did you think that someone would rescue you? Yuan Chang mocked Feng Wu as he leaped towards her. Just then, a voice rang out, excuse me, my apologies. Alarmed, Yuan Chang turned upon hearing that voice. Feng Wu was ecstatic as hope glimmered in her eyes. Both looked pointedly to where the voice came from. It's you. Yuan Chang and Feng Wu exclaimed at the same time. With his arms folded, Lu Ming strode towards them with a faint smile on his face and said to Yuan Chang, what? Disappointed to see me alive? I'm a little disappointed indeed. You survived the Duan Mu family and Wei Ziyu. Too bad you're a foolish one. Since you ran away, you should have found yourself a corner and hid like a dog till the test is over. Instead, you're right here. Why? Are you gonna play hero and save the damsel in distress, you piece of trash? Ha ha ha. Yuan Chang chuckled scornfully as killing intent flashed through his eyes. Lu Ming, why are you here? Hurry, Go now. You're no match for Yuan Chang. Feng Wu had hope when she saw that someone found them, but that hope turned to despair when she realized that it was Lu Ming. Senior Sister Feng Wu, I'm distinctly firm with my gratitude and grudges. I'll repay them accordingly. You've helped me with Wei Zia once, so I'll repay the kindness now by saving your life. Lu Ming smiled. Save her? Lu Ming, you piece of trash, how are you gonna save her? Yuan Chang laughed. With my fist, of course. Lu Ming's face hardened as he swung his fist towards Yuan Chang. Do you wanna die? Yuan Chang thrust his palm and attacked Lu Ming. He was going to increase Feng Wu's despair by destroying Lu Ming's cultivation. Only that would elevate his joy. Unfortunately, ideals were not reality. When his palm collided with Lu Ming's fist, he felt a gush of immense essential qi from the latter that dissolved his essential qi immediately. A bone-breaking pain erupted in his arm. Yuan Chang yelped as he was forced backward. Master Realm. Impossible. How are you already in Master Realm, Lu Ming? He cried out in disbelief. Master Realm. Feng Wu's eyes shone with hope upon witnessing what had happened. Yuan Chang, I told you I'd defeat you in 2 months. Well, it looks like I only needed half a month. Lu Ming smirked coldly. Want to defeat me? Don't even think about it. Go to hell. Yuan Chang bellowed furiously as immense intent to kill gleamed in his eyes. He took his sword up and attacked Lu Ming. Lu Ming and Feng Wu had to die. If not, when the test was over, his journey in the mystical sword sect would end too. Part 2 of the series ends here. If you enjoyed it, please give us a like and subscribe so we can be motivated to make even better videos in the future.